Series. Our Brewers Radio Network Game 2 coverage against the Diamondbacks continues tonight at 5:30. Brew October on WTMJ is presented by Network Health and sponsored by Delta Dental, Annex Wealth Management, and Wintrust, Wisconsin's Bank. We are the home of Brewers baseball. News Radio WTMJ, Milwaukee.
At 12:01, it's 77 degrees. Mostly cloudy, breezy with a slight chance of a shower or storm today, and on our way to a high of 80. Tonight, slight chance of a shower or storm lingers, and then decreasing clouds and a low down to 60. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Vince Vitrano. Brewers in a must-win situation in this first round of the Major League Baseball playoffs tonight. More on the game in a moment. First, a new poll showing general support for a plan to invest in the long-term future of the team in Milwaukee. The poll conducted by Visit Milwaukee and the Metropolitan Milwaukee Association of Commerce, MMAC, which do both support a major investment in American Family Field. Well, the poll showed 66% of likely Wisconsin voters agree Governor Evers and the Republicans in the legislature must work together to come up with a solution to fund the shortfall for the stadium. The poll also showed support for the current proposal to do that, though those polled were not told a specific dollar amount in terms of contributions from state or the local community as well as the team. If approved, the $700 million funding proposal would extend the Brewers' lease at the ballpark through 2050. Brewers and Diamondbacks again tonight at American Family Field. 6:08 is the game time. The pregame effectively begins with Wisconsin's afternoon news, broadcasting live once again for the ballpark at 3 o'clock. A popular Brewers alumnus, Nyjer Morgan, will throw out the first pitch tonight. Morgan knows a thing or two about knocking the D-backs out of the postseason.
It was a series-clinching hit over the D-backs that sent the Brewers to the NLCS in 2011. And Nyjer Morgan, nicknamed T-Plush, still thinks about it today.
It was just a magical moment for everybody.
He's throwing out the first pitch this evening.
Being able to come back to the 414 and bring some kind of lucky pizzazz that I have.
Plush lives in Florida now, and he loves it when he sees people from Milwaukee.
If I see somebody rocking a Crew hat, I'll definitely stop and take a picture with him and go Crew.
Eric Bilstead, WTMJ News.
A massive crane currently moving rocks 7 days a week as a project is underway to repair the South Shore breakwater along Milwaukee's lakefront. Director of Administration and Planning for the Milwaukee County Parks, Jeremy Lucas, telling TMJ4 News it's an ongoing issue.
Crews there right now. They'll probably be there for 7 days a week for up to 7 weeks. So some of the stones are 12 to 18 tons, basically the size of a full school bus.
Milwaukee County Parks requested $11.2 million of the Milwaukee 2024 budget to continue the work. This particular project expected to last through early November.
Chair declares the House in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
In recess with no speaker. Today, other Republicans beginning to queue up for a vote not expected until next week in the U.S. House of Representatives for that next speaker. Congressman Kevin McCarthy ousted from the post yesterday. Congressman Jim Jordan of Ohio says he's running for the speakership. A couple other names being floated, including former President Donald Trump.
If you just have a few House Republicans against you and you're running for Speaker, as Kevin McCarthy encountered in January, that can be a long, drawn-out process. And the Republicans I'm talking to, really on both sides of the political spectrum, the moderates and the further right of the conference, do not want a long, protracted Speaker fight when they return next week.
Congressman Steve Scalise, another name that is being circulated. ABC's Jay O'Brien reporting there. Time for news about your money and the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Good day so far on Wall Street. Dow Jones Industrial Average up about 45 points to 33,047. The S&P 500 at 4247. That's up about 18 points on the day. And the NASDAQ up more than 100 to 13,179. It's time for the Annex Wealth Management Tax Smart Planning Review. They'll review, assess, and provide strategies you can use. Go to the Annex Wealth website. It's annexwealth.com/taxsmart. Sports, traffic, weather are next. Signing Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 12:05.
So if our mom was looking for a new sofa, what are the top things that you would recommend that she look for in a new sofa?
Ben and Arvid Huth, brothers and owners of Penny Mustard Furnishings.
Kid and pet-friendly fabrics. Sure. Eliminate headaches.
Yeah.
Eliminate spill problems. Clean it up. That stuff is so good nowadays.
I would say quality foam. You need a quality foam in there in order to last and the comfort to maintain.
Maybe the exact same thing, just explaining it a little different, is sit down on that sofa and make sure it feels good.
Sure.
Pretty is great, but it's got to be comfortable.
Yes.
When you're sitting in it and watching a 2-hour football game, you want to feel good.
Yep. And I would say a well-built frame, something that's structurally sound.
Yes.
And made in the USA. We make fantastic sofas in the United States. We always have and we always will. It's an easy way to sort poor quality from good quality.
Penny Mustard Furnishings. See more at pennymustard.com.
Did I mention quality foam?
I think you did.
Okay, good. I don't want to miss that.
That's an important one.
It's very important to me anyway. And it would be to Mom.
This Brewers Top Moment is presented by Network Health.
September 22nd, 2023. After missing out on the playoffs a season ago, this Brewers team would pour in 16 runs over 15 hits, going on to beat the Miami Marlins, and this version of Milwaukee baseball would punch their ticket to October yet again.
October official! For the 5th time in 6 years, the Milwaukee Brewers are headed to the postseason.
This Brewers Top Moment is presented by Network Health.
Hi, I'm John McGivern. If you're looking for a Medicare plan with freedom and flexibility, choose a Network Health Medicare Advantage plan. Plans start as low as $0 a month with $0 doctor visits and $0 prescription drugs, plus vision, hearing, and dental benefits. For 40 years, Network Health has been a trusted expert in making health insurance affordable and understandable. Don't wait. Call 833-7-NETWORK today.
Time for WTMJ Sports Update.
Postseason baseball got underway in Milwaukee last night. Not a great night for our Brew Crew as they dropped Game 1 of their best-of-3 wildcard series to the Arizona Diamondbacks. This one by a final score of 6-3.
You know, in a 3-game series, you lose Game 1, your back's up against the wall, and you've faced adversity, and we got to respond to it. It's simple as that.
The Brewers will face elimination tonight as Freddie Peralta will look to keep that from happening, and he gets the start tonight. First pitch is set for 6:08. Coverage will begin right here on WTMJ at 5:30. The Green Bay Packers are back on the practice field Tuesday afternoon in preparation for their Week 5 trip to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. Some good news on the injury front for the Pack. Elton Jenkins, Luke Musgrave, and cornerback Eric Stokes were back to practice. The Packers will be back out to practice later this afternoon with an injury report that should follow shortly after. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
Time for a look at the roads with the Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver Traffic Report. Right shoulder blocked to I-94 if you're headed into the city from Brookfield. Disabled vehicle near Moreland Road. Again, that's eastbound 94 at Moreland. Small backup there. I-94 at Mitchell Boulevard. Eastbound right by American Family Field. Disabled vehicle there. Also off on the right shoulder. Out of traffic, so no slowdowns with this one. Otherwise looking good on the roads this noon hour.
Traffic is sponsored by Built Right Furniture, Leather and Mattresses.
For affordable, better quality furniture and mattresses, you've got to get to Built Right today. Built Right Furniture saves you money. 54th and Layton Avenue in Greenfield.
Storm team forecast from meteorologist Brendan Johnson. Mostly cloudy and breezy with a slight chance of a shower or storm. Should be on our way to a high of 80 degrees. Tonight, slight chance of a shower or storm continues. Then decreasing clouds and low down to 60. A lot of sunshine in the next few days, but cooler temperatures. Mostly sunny on Thursday with a high of 74. Friday's high just 61 with sunshine and then a few showers possible. Saturday sunny and windy, high of 57, and Sunday's high 56 degrees under mostly sunny skies. Right now in Madison, 73. Green Bay at 77, Waukesha 75, and in Milwaukee, it's 77 degrees. I'm Vince Vetrano, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 12:09.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Come join the conversation on the Old National Bank talk and text line at 855-616-1620. Old National Bank. Get old. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome to the show. Vince Vetrano. We had a number of texts, at least a half dozen, based on a comment I made right as Steve and Sandy were leaving, which I never thought in all the years I've done a radio show in this market, all the years I've done that, I never thought that I would get texts that from at least a half dozen people using my name and front row Amy's name in the same sentence. I made the comment that I score. I start my when I go to baseball games, I take along the score pad. If you are watching Vince and I right now on our YouTube channel, you can go to YouTube and put in WTMJ, or you can go to WTMJ.com and click on the Watch Live. I brought this in. This is how I do it. I have a big spiral notebook at home. I pull out a sheet and I bring a little clipboard, and this is what I'm taking to the game tonight. And I, fill it out. It's something I do almost every time I go to a baseball game, just because it's something I've always done. My grandfather taught me how to do this when he was taking me to games when I was 6 and 7 years old. And it's just something that I have done all that time. And I was commenting that that's what I do now. And a number of the texters are saying, well, you're just like front row Amy. She scores all the time, too.
High aspirations.
Absolutely.
Yes.
One of the texters say, are you going to wear like a low-cut blouse like she does? And
well,
nobody wants
now.
to see that. Yeah, no, trust me, nobody wants to see that particular thing.
I think it's a really cool thing to do, and it's a way to stay engaged with the game. I've never done it at a Major League Baseball game, but I have scored, and it's fun. They used to include that in the program, didn't they? They didn't have a score sheet in there if you wanted to score along. I think you can still pick one up.
Right, you can.
It's real small, though, right?
Right
now?
And they charge them, it's like $2. Yeah. I was at a game last week, and I had forgotten to bring this, and I was going to go buy a scorecard, and they're $2, but at American Family Field, you can't take cash. So the guy says, no, you have to put it on a credit card. And I'm like, I'm not going to put a $2 on a credit card, right? Because inevitably I'll get a notice from the credit card company, is this a fraud alert, that you're charging something this small? And I said, okay, so I'll skip it. So that's why. But I have this big scorebook at home that a lot of the professional broadcasters use, and they'll have it during the season. And I don't do it all the time. I only do it when I go to the baseball game. So I just pull out a sheet and take it along on a clipboard. But it's kind of fun. It keeps me engaged in the game.
So what do you think of this? I had a buddy who's a big baseball guy, and he kept a book on a first date at the ball game.
Huh.
Maybe not, huh?
Yeah, well,
I'm not sure there was a second date.
I'm also I'm not sure I'd take a date to a first. I'm not sure that would be a first date at the baseball game. Maybe dinner or something like that. I'm not sure I would do that in the first place. But it's in any event, it's a way to keep you engaged in that. Take the
for sure.
Yeah,
Well, you talked about learning it as a young person. That was back when we had baseball for your entertainment today, and not a whole lot else, right? When you were a kid, there wasn't the T-shirt toss and the this and the that and everything, and the scoreboard was, that old scoreboard with the Winston,
right? And now
and the hawk on
it,
it,
and the Brewers, who are no different than any other major league team, make no bones about that. It's all about entertainment.
Yes.
It's loud, and you have the gal that's jumping up and down, and you've got the guess where the baseball is, and you've got the sausage race, which I love.
And for little kids, you've got literally a playground.
Yes.
But when we were kids, it was like, you're going to sit here and learn to love this game, young man.
Exactly.
And it was great.
No, so, and that's fine. It's just the way things have evolved. But if you see some guy there today with a clipboard and this score pad, it's probably me or somebody who's taken my score pad and is doing that. So
not to be mistaken for.
Not to be mistaken. Absolutely. So, yes, you would not mistake me for front row Amy. I guarantee that. Hey, a quick notice. What is going to happen at 1:20 p.m. this afternoon, be prepared. Your cell phone is going to go off. It is going to vibrate. You will hear it make a loud sound, and you will see a push alert pop up on your screen if your cell phone is turned on. My understanding is even if you've got it on silent, this is going to happen. It will override that. It's one of the reasons why our news director came in and said, you have your cell phone turned off. Mine is completely and totally turned off. But if you just have, normally when I do the show, I just have the sound turned off. That's not going to work. You're going to get this notice. Do not worry. The world is not coming to an end, at least not right now. Most radio and television stations are also going to broadcast an alert at the same time for about 1 minute. There is not a national emergency. There is no reason to panic. There is nothing you need to do about the alerts. As the text you are going to get will say, it is just a test. It's a test of the National Emergency Alert Systems, which are designed to let the government reach hundreds of millions of people in the United States if there is a disaster affecting the entire country. The Federal Emergency Management Agency and the FCC are conducting a coordinated test to see if the technology is working as designed and if any improvements are needed. So I'll remind you that a couple times because I know I understand there's people who don't get the message, and it's going to be, okay, what's going on? Why is this happening, et cetera, et cetera. It is a test, but be prepared 1:20 this afternoon. If your cell phone is turned on, It's going to go off, and you're going to get a noise. Don't know what exactly the noise is going to sound like, but it's going to vibrate, and you're going to get a message. Do not panic. It is just a national test to see if the system works. Okay, when we come back, I understand a lot of people are talking about the big sporting event that happened last night, the disappointing Brewers game. I was there, but I have a question to ask you moving forward. We'll be back with that in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Brewers fans, it's me, Dom Catronio, host of Brewers Extra Innings, here to tell you that you can now catch Brewers Extra Innings wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, and of course, WTMJ.com and the WTMJ mobile app. Every stat, every storyline, and of course, highlights from the games this season following the Brewers all year long. Catch Brewers Extra Innings, presented by Fifth Third Bank, right here on the home of the Brewers, WTMJ.
Now, about your house. Eric Brown is the president of Siding Unlimited, your contractor for new windows, roofing, siding, decks, and a whole lot more. He knows about your house. So what do you know, Eric?
New windows? Where do I begin? It seems everyone is staking claim that their window is the best. Let's talk about 4 characteristics of windows that are important: energy efficiency, aesthetics, operation, and installation. If their window is the best, these qualities should stand out. Living in Wisconsin, energy efficiency is important for your comfort and your wallet. While many companies want to focus on glass ratings, we can't forget that air infiltration is just as important. You can have the best glass in the world. It is useless if wind is whistling around it and you're losing money out the window. The best window should look amazing. When comparing and contrasting, so often the less attractive windows have wider, bulky frames and hardware that looks like an afterthought. If you are seeking the best, then narrow, sleek frames that look beautiful as well as maximize the glass space will give you a gorgeous window that allows more natural light into your home. How easy do your windows operate? Are they tough to clean or even impossible to open? How they operate is very important for the best windows. The best windows are easy to clean and easy to open. True professional installation will assure your windows perform and operate fantastic. The best product in the world will not perform if it is installed wrong. Siding Unlimited's showroom is open so you can see, touch, feel, investigate your window choice. We offer the best windows and can prove it. Stop on by. Siding Unlimited is an easy place to begin.
Local and family-owned Siding Unlimited. 3-time Pella Windows Platinum Elite Certified Contractor of the Year. And not just here, in the whole USA. Get the best windows installed by the best installer. Go first and directly to sidingunlimited.com.
Back for more. Here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
All right. I think it is important for me to serve as institutional memory because I've been around long enough to remember things, and sometimes history does repeat itself. Now, as I was saying earlier, I was at the ball game last night. It was a disappointment. The Brewers take a 3-0 lead. You've got your presumably ace who's pitching. You give him a 3-0 lead, and he ends up pooping the bed, gives up 3 home runs, and suddenly they're behind 4-3, and the Brewers load the bases, none out. All Bryce Terang has to do is put the ball in play, and they score the tying run, and he strikes out. Then they hit into a double play. So they left like 11 men on base. Very, very frustrating. Lots of different aspects of that. I know the crowd left frustrated and dejected. But, tonight is another night. Now, I understand you would say the odds are not great. Brandon Woodruff, their arguably best pitcher, or certainly their number 2 pitcher, is out with an injury. They're going to be going against Arizona's top pitcher, and that's, Zach Gallen, who is going to be a Cy Young candidate, who's just dominated the Brewers a couple times this year. So I understand. I mean, if you look at this objectively, you say, okay, this isn't great. But at the same time, that's part of the romance of baseball. I am old enough to remember the year the Brewers went to the World Series, 1982. At the time, they didn't have like 3 rounds of playoffs. You had the Eastern Division, you had the Western Division, essentially. And the Brewers won the East, and the California, at the time they called them the California Angels. The California Angels won the West, and it was a best of 5 game series. The first 2 games were played in California, and the Angels won both of those games. So they come back to Milwaukee. In order to win the series, that means Milwaukee has to win 3 games in a row. I will never forget. At the time, this is 1982, I was living downtown. I was living in Juneau Village Apartments, and I was just getting out of law school. And I can remember at the time what happened is in order to avoid like all the driving hassles, I would take the bus, from downtown. And they had special bus routes that would take people out to the field. And I remember being on the bus that Friday, and it's packed with California Angels fans who have made the trip from California. And I was listening to them talk, and it was like, okay, this is a foregone conclusion. As I recall, on that Friday game, Tommy John was pitching, and he's the guy that they named the surgery over. And they were just absolutely positive that he was going to win. And it wasn't smugness. It was just kind of this is the way it's going to be. We're going to win. And they lost on Friday. And then Saturday rolls around, and I'm on the same bus, and you've got a lot of people out there that are having the same conversation, and they were sure they were going to win on Saturday, and there was a long rain delay, but the Brewers ended up winning on Saturday. And then Sunday, when we're going out there on the bus, it was a lot of the same people, but there was this kind of tenseness that was there, and we all know what happened. The Brewers went on. They won that game on Sunday, arguably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, victory in team history, and they go on to the World Series. But they came back from 2 games down. They won 3 games in a row. Now, I am not making any predictions. I have no idea as to what is going to happen tonight. But I understand that there's a lot of fans that are kind of dejected. Well, they did a lot of the stuff last night that they've done during the year that ended up costing the game. And this time, you're playing against good teams. It's the playoffs. You can't make stupid mistakes. You can't do the things that they did. But at the same time, all I was thinking of last night as I was driving home talking to my buddy is that, okay, tomorrow really is another day. And yeah, I understand objectively if you want to make a case why the Brewers are going to lose tonight, you could do it. But I keep remembering back to what happened in 1982, and I keep thinking, the beauty of baseball is, each day is a different day. Our number is 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. I typically leave the sports conversations to my colleagues down the hall at ESPN. But my question to you is, especially if you're a Brewers fan, are you giving up on the season after last night, or are you going into tonight's game, I don't know, optimistic or at least hoping for the best? How dejected are you? 855-616-1620. Me, I think they've made the road a little bit more difficult because you got to win 2 games in a row. But you know what? I'm not ready to give up on this team, and I'm looking forward to the game tonight. 855-616-1620. Are you writing off this team even before the first pitch is thrown this evening? 855-616-1620. We discuss in a moment.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Enough is enough! I have had it with these mother snakes on this mother plane!
Our Brewers Radio Network Game 2 coverage against the Diamondbacks continues tonight at 5:30 as the Brewers try to stay alive in the playoffs. On the home of the Brewers, 620 WTMJ. Brew October is presented by Network Health, Delta Dental, Annex Wealth Management, and Wintrust, Wisconsin's Bank.
Exergen thermometers are a top choice of medical professionals at highly ranked hospitals across the U.S. Accuracy matters, so make Exergen the chosen thermometer for your home and family.
Hosting this holiday season? Get your home dressed to impress. Ken Michaels Furniture is having a pre-holiday sale to get your new furniture to you in time. We carry thousands of fabrics, leathers, and wood finishes so you can create a look that's as unique as you are. Order now and wow your holiday guests with personalized furniture. With discounts starting at 30%, you can't beat these deals. Stop in today at Ken Michaels Furniture on Capitol Drive in Brookfield and Highway 100 in Greenfield. Give yourself the gift of beautiful, long-lasting furniture this holiday season. Our pre-holiday sale at Ken Michaels Furniture will ensure that your pieces arrive before the holidays. We're offering 35% off Amish hardwood dining sets in your choice of wood, shape, and finish. Create a holiday table that's ready for your teenager's Instagram. If you order now, you can have the furniture of your dreams by Christmas. Stop in today at Ken Michaels Furniture on Capitol Drive in Brookfield and Highway 100 in Greenfield.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No. We tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
You're listening to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. And if you are watching us on our YouTube channel, yes, today I'm rocking my old school dark blue Brewer shirt as we root the Brewers on. Look, last night was disappointing. Trust me. I mean, I stayed till the bitter end, and it was a bitter sort of ending on so many respects. It was a game that they could have won and just sort of choked it away in very many levels. But tonight is another night, and I'm not giving up. Let's see, Jeff. I have no hope. Craig Counsell makes some of the worst decisions ever. We will lose. I will be there too. Well, I hope not. Jeff, I thought from the beginning it would go 3 games for sure. 3 games would bring more money to the organization. Jeff, I haven't written them off at all. However, last night I was very optimistic. Tonight I'm more nervous. Well, yeah, because the back's against the wall. Jeff, I appreciate your positivity, but I live in reality. They are done. All right, well, we'll remember that. Maybe you will be right. That's the great thing about sports. There are winners and losers, so by 10 o'clock tonight, we'll know whether, it's time to stick a fork in this season and allow the players to go off and start making tee times. Jeff, I was at the game last night, and it was very frustrating. Usually the Brewers do better against premier pitchers and struggle against the not-so-good pitchers. I'm going to support the Brewers until the end and need everyone to do the same. Go Brewers. Yeah. Jeff, I was fortunate enough to see those first 2 games you were talking about against the Angels in 1982. They were a tough ball club. I had the feeling that they were going to win 3 in a row back then. Don't know why. Anyhow, I'm optimistic about tonight. I think they're going to win. Then tomorrow is another day. Jeff, I'm still hoping they win, but they have to play the guys that have been producing. Let Rowdy play first, and then it goes on to different suggestions. The Brewers are relying on old players past their prime. Brewers, get your golf clubs ready. The season is over. No, I don't. See, that's not it. Jeff, I'd rather have it this way than a blowout last night and overconfidence today. Jeff, I'm not giving up until we're officially eliminated. The optimist in me says last night's loss lights a fire under the team going into the elimination game. It's going to be rough going against Arizona's best 2 starters, but if we can get more runners than yesterday, we'll have a chance. They did leave 11 runners on base, including leaving runners bases loaded twice. Bases loaded twice, including with no outs. All right. That I admit that was a frustrating one. I'm sitting in the stands, and to anybody who's listening, I'm saying all you have to do, you're behind 4-3, all you have to do is put the ball in play. Even if you hit into a double play, a run is going to most likely score. So just do it. Arizona was giving that run, and Bryce Terang strikes out. It's just, I don't mean to fault him because I like him as a player, but he couldn't deliver when you needed somebody to deliver. Johnny, who's heading to the stadium now. Johnny, good afternoon.
Yeah, really, it's Johnny Mige, and I'm Winneconne, and I'm headed your way.
Okay.
Meeting my son from Wanakee, and we're going to be there. You reminded me that I'm so glad I always listen to you. I'm a fellow Parrot head.
Okay.
but you reminded me of the '82 American League, and I remember Cecil Cooper telling that ball to get down.
Right.
And I was at the stadium for that.
Right.
And the same thing. There, the tire, the air was out of our tires, but we were there to cheer the Brewers into the World Series. So, hey, people, put your Brewers stuff on and get over there.
Absolutely,
Pick yourself up and move on.
Right, Johnny. It is the romance of sports that anything can happen, and you just never know. You might think you know what's going to happen, but that's why those casinos in Las Vegas make so much money, because a lot of us don't. Hey, you enjoy the game tonight, and I think it's great. That's the other thing that's so great to me about baseball is it is a multi-generational thing. He's driving down from Winnicott. He's going to meet his son. They're going to go to the ball game. I was just telling you earlier, I mean, the reason I still take my scorebook and do it as I think of my grandfather, and it's kind of this way of connecting and stuff. It's one of the things about baseball that I just love. It is the romance of baseball. You never know what's going to happen, but it's multi-generational. It brings people together. Jerry in Appleton. Jerry, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Hi, Jeff. How you doing? I was telling your screener I'm a big fan. I've been to 8 games this year, and I watch every one of them on TV when we're home. I'm with you. I mean, it was very frustrating last night. Last night looked like that was our game to win, and then we had these 2 tough games coming up that we had to try to win at least one of those. But yeah, what are you going to do? They did do some of the same old stuff that they did in the middle of the year, not so much towards the end of the year, where you're stranding too many runners and they can't get the big hit. But, baseball is a game of random chance. I always tell my wife that. I mean, was it Josh Donaldson? No, Tyrone Taylor just scorched that ball with runners on base. I mean, that was, to me, that
Bases
was probably
loaded.
the big play.
Right, and the third baseman, Longoria, catches the ball.
Play of the game.
Yep.
Yeah, Longoria catches the ball.
No, yeah,
and
you're right. No, I mean, hey, thanks for the call. You're right. I mean, there were chances that were there, and it's just in the playoffs, it gets magnified when you don't deliver. If it's a 162 game season and you don't deliver on a couple of these things and you leave runners on, you lose the game. It's not the end of the world. There's a game tomorrow. Now we're at the point where if you don't deliver. Well, there's not a game until the end of March, or at least not a game that counts. Let's talk to Jim in Bayview. Jim, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon. Jim.
Hello there,
Hi, Jim.
everybody. I very optimistically, I was at the Angels games many years ago. We were down 0-2, and we won 3 in a row.
Yep.
And I'll be out at the ballpark tonight. And right now I'm looking for my T-Plush T-shirt. Yeah.
Going back old school. I mean, thanks to the call, Tony. That's, of course, Nigel Morgan, who's going to be throwing out the first pitch. It ties into the romance. We were talking about this earlier as well. Bob Uecker, it was, I will say, I said this to the people around me, it was worth going to the game last night just to watch Mr. Baseball, Bob Uecker, walk out onto the field and, throw the first pitch. He threw the first pitch to his oldest son, Bob Jr., who I know from back in the day. Like I said, we practiced law together for a couple of years. But it was just so very, very cool because you hope Bob's around forever, but there is this kind of reality. But it was just so great to see that, and it was so great to see the way the fans responded to this. It was very, very cool. So I understand there's people out there who are disappointed. Trust me, I was disappointed yesterday, driving home. But the bottom line is tonight's another night. Don't know how it's going to turn out, but don't give up on the team. Don't sell your tickets. Show up to the stand. They had about 40,000 people there last night. It was not quite full. I mean, there were some empty seats. One of the things that I noticed was there were a lot of late arrivals, including like groups. I understand with a 6 o'clock start, sometimes there's people who you get off work, you got to run home, you got to change your clothes, you got to get down to the stadium. But there were some like huge sections where people didn't start coming into the third inning, which I didn't quite understand. I assume it was like tailgate parties and people decided they'd rather stay out in the parking lot than see the game. To the extent you can, get there for the first pitch, for goodness sakes. Back with more in just a minute. When we come back, I want to talk about the $50,000 wedgie. $50,000 wedgie. Don't go anywhere.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner.
Russ bought his first home in Wisconsin with a mortgage from Accunet when today's college freshmen were still in diapers. A few Friday mornings ago, Russ emailed saying he and his wife were ready to buy their forever home. And by 4 o'clock, we were all on a conference call with their real estate agent talking about what it would take to write a winning offer in today's inventory-starved market. And then it happened. They met their dream home face-to-face Saturday afternoon and wrote an offer $15,000 over asking, accompanied by an Accunet property-specific pre-approval letter that guaranteed they could make good on that offer without selling their existing home first and without requiring an appraisal. That's right, no appraisal required, which both the listing agent and seller loved. I can't promise your very first offer will be accepted like Russ and Julie's, but I will promise Accunet can help you and your agent craft the most attractive offer possible. Hey, don't settle for a flimsy, unimaginative bank pre-approval. Get started with your rock-solid, guaranteed pre-approval by clicking on the blue button today at accunet.com.
Do the changing seasons have you dreaming of that perfect sun-kissed getaway? From the Caribbean and Mexico to Hawaii or Florida, Fox World Travel's expert travel advisors can recommend their favorite beach resorts with Apple Vacations or island-hopping cruises with Princess Cruises and Royal Caribbean. What are you waiting for? Don't miss out on the best savings of the season. Visit foxworldtravel.com or call 866-GO-FOX-GO. There are memories to be made, and Fox has the expertise to get you there.
The Gathering's an enigma, wrapped in a puzzle, and placed behind your sofa.
What? He means the Gathering console table from Penny Mustard. It sits behind your sofa, providing a snack bar for parties, a buffet for pizza night, and extra seating for the holidays. How can it be all those things?
It's mysterious.
Come unlock the mystery of the Gathering console table, sophisticrafted in the USA with your choice of lumbers and stains, and starting at just $16.10 at Penny Mustard. Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
All right. Something else that when I started my career as a radio talk show host, my second career, I never anticipated we would be talking about wedgies. But yes, we are. Now, for those who do not know what a wedgie is, now I understand most people do, but a wedgie, according to the dictionary, is, there's two things. It's a shoe with a wedged heel. I am not talking about shoes with wedged heels. In North America, a wedgie is referred to as an uncomfortable tightening of the underpants between the buttocks, typically produced when somebody pulls the underpants up from the back as a prank. All right? So that is what we are discussing. You get the uncomfortable tightening between the buttocks because somebody has pulled your underwear up. That is a wedgie. Here is the way, my producer Samantha, see, you had no idea. She's sitting there, I just never know what Wagner's going to talk about on a given day. We could be talking about, like yesterday we talked about, we're changing the House of Representatives, and we always talk about, Biden, and we talk about politics, and we talk about crime, and I had no idea he was going to come in and talk about wedgies. Okay, that's why you have to listen to the show. Here is the way, I read the New York Times, so you do not have to. Here is the way the New York Times discusses this. Wedgie on Disney's water slide caused severe injuries, according to a lawsuit. Emma McGinnis suffered permanent bodily injury on a visit to Disney World in Florida in 2019, according to a lawsuit. Emma McGinnis traveled with her family to Walt Disney World in October of 2019, in part to celebrate her 30th birthday. But when she went down a 214-foot water slide called the Humunga Cowabunga, she experienced a, quote, painful wedgie, end quote, and suffered severe and permanent bodily injury, according to a lawsuit that she and her husband filed in Orange County, Florida last week. The lawsuit seeks at least $50,000 in damages and accuses Walt Disney Parks and Resorts of negligence. Okay, Walt Disney's website says the Humunga Cowabunga features a water slide which is near vertical, 5-story drop in the dark. Okay, now let me just say this. My brother loves roller coasters. I didn't, and I understand this is a roller coaster, but I didn't get the roller coaster gene in our family, and I didn't get like the water park gene in our family. When I hear it is a near vertical 5-story drop on a water slide, ain't no way that Mr. Wagner's going on that. But okay, but you know what you're getting into. You know that when you go up there that this is a 5-story vertical, you know what this water slide is. So there's no secret about that. According to the lawsuit, Ms. McGinnis followed the slide's instruction for riders, which direct them to cross their legs at the ankles. But as she neared the end of the slide, her body lifted up, she became airborne, and she was slammed downward against the slide, which increased the likelihood of her legs becoming uncrossed or otherwise exposing herself to injury, the lawsuit says. The impact of the slide and her impact into the water at the bottom of the slide caused Ms. McGinnis's clothing to be painfully, forcefully pushed between her legs, and for water to be violently forced inside of her, the lawsuit says. She experienced immediate and severe pain internally, and as she stood up, blood began rushing from between her legs. She was taken to the hospital by ambulance for treatment, was eventually brought to another hospital for the repair of gynecologic injuries suffered by a specialist. She had severe lacerations in a spot that you don't want to have lacerations. The complaint says the slide carries risks that Disney World knew about or should have known about. Specifically, when a rider of the slide reached the bottom of the ride and traveled into the pool of water designed to stop further travel, the force of the water can push loose garments into a person's anatomy, an event known as a wedgie, the lawsuit states. Because of a woman's anatomy, the risk of a painful wedgie is more common and more serious than it is for a man. Now, let me stop there for just a second. I mean, I appreciate that, ladies don't want to get wedgies, but, from the perspective of a guy, there's some parts of the anatomy down there as well that I don't necessarily want to have a giant wedgie on either. Okay. Mr. McGinnis has suffered loss of his wife's care, comfort, consortium, support, and services. Unlike other water slides at Typhoon Lagoon, the Humunga Cowabunga does not involve the use of a raft or a tube, according to the lawsuit, which claims that riders on the slide reach speeds of nearly 40 miles an hour. Disney World, according to the lawsuit, failed to provide Ms. McGinnis and other patrons with proper protective clothing or equipment necessary to ride the slide. The resort also failed to warn her and others of inherent dangers of the attraction and failed to fix the defective and unreasonably dangerous condition that caused her to become airborne as she descended the slide. All right, she wants at least $50,000 and presumably more. Our number, 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. Now, this happened a couple years ago. My guess is hundreds, maybe thousands of people go down this particular slide in any given day. Certainly thousands go down this slide in any given week. This is not a ride for me. It's just not. I mean, a 5-story vertical drop on a water slide is not something that appeals to me. But it does sound like this was a freak sort of injury, because my guess is almost everybody else, male or female, that goes down this doesn't get injured. In this case, you had an unfortunate circumstance. Is Disney World responsible? Are they negligent? Or if you decide, hey, I'm going to go down in the dark, a 5-story drop vertical slide, and I'm going to be told to keep my ankles together, and I separate them because I bump into something. Is Disney World liable? Should they be liable, or is this just kind of one of these freak accidents? And when you go on what I'm going to say extreme rides like this, do you assume, some of the risk? 855-616-1620. What do you think? $50,000 plus for the wedgie. We discuss in a moment.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Is outdoor living limited at your place? Well, imagine a deck, a patio, pergola, fire pit, maybe even an outdoor kitchen in your yard. Outdoor Living Unlimited is a local, family-owned company that consults, designs, and builds these things. They're the best. Let them make outdoor living unlimited in your yard like they did in ours. We are Wisconsin. We live outdoors as much as possible. Make the most of it with help from Outdoor Living Unlimited. See OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
When big national banks make a decision, it requires many emails, phone calls, and plenty of video conferences from around the globe. When we make a banking decision, we do it over a cup of coffee in our office. Finding a local bank that's passionate about the community and knows your name is hard to find these days.
Good morning, Diane. Welcome back.
The search is over.
Waterstone Bank, proud to be your local bank for over 100 years. Love your bank as much as we love this community. Waterstone Bank, Waukesha, Milwaukee, and Washington County.
Member FDIC.
Get to and from every home game in Green Bay this football season safely. Milwaukee Brat House, Jack's American Pub, and Wanakee Golf Course all offer transportation on game days. They've got bus services with private restrooms and all-you-can-drink packages. Book your round-trip ride from any of these locations and get complimentary access to an all-you-can-eat and drink tailgate at the bar on Holmgren Way. Make your game day experience a VIP experience with your official ride to Green Bay. Visit golfwanakee.com to book your trip today.
This is Matt Meitner, owner of Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Do you find yourself talking to your dog but feel like she's not listening to you?
Bella, sit!
Are you constantly repeating yourself but she's not following your directions?
Sit! Sit!
Frustrating, isn't it? At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we want to help you have a happy, confident, and obedient dog, and we also want to make the training process an enjoyable and worthwhile experience. Contact Sit Means Sit today to schedule a free consultation so we can create a customized training program so you are able to have the dog you want and deserve.
Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Sorry, we don't train husbands, wives, or kids.
Spas! The Swim Spa Hot Tub and Sauna Show is coming this weekend only to the Wisconsin State Fair Cream Puff Pavilion. Rows and rows of spas, hot tubs, and swim spas. The largest display in the state. Save up to 60% off retail. This weekend only at the Wisconsin State Fair Cream Puff Pavilion.
You're just going to have to live with it. That's what I told myself. And if you can believe it, that's what the doctors told me.
Since Andy was a boy, he had health issues, which later we would find were primarily due to his trouble breathing. So for 36 years, Andy lived with about 85% blockage in his nose. He had to breathe through his mouth because when he tried to breathe through his nose, it felt like he was being suffocated. It affected his sleep, his work life, and his ability to play sports. And he wasn't going to let it ruin his life anymore. So he came to Advent. As bad as it was, his problem required a simple solution. In-office balloon sinuplasty and turbinate reduction. Procedures you won't find offered by big box healthcare. This is Dr. Madan Kandula. It's definitely possible that your nasal breathing problems have a simple solution too. You can hear Andy's story in his own words at adventknowsandy.com and begin on your path to breathing well and living better.
Results may vary.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. Okay, so one of our texters says, well, rides are supposed to be scary but safe. Okay, see, this to me is the interesting question. Let us assume, like I say, that this giant water slide, which you couldn't get me on if you paid me, where you're dropping 5 stories on a water slide, let us assume that hundreds, thousands of people ride this in any given week, and nobody gets hurt. And now you have this one case a couple years ago where it sounds like some sort of freak accident occurred and the woman gets hurt. Okay, but if that's one out of hundreds or one out of thousands or one out of tens of thousands, does that mean that the ride is unsafe? Or does it mean that sometimes just kind of freaky things sort of happen? And how often do you, where do you explore this? Okay, you've got all the water slides, for example, in Wisconsin Dells, and everybody wants to go up on the giant water slides, and everybody wants to go down, and that's one of the things. You want the most exciting ride possible. If you have a water slide where, you have a large number of people who are getting injured, it's when they descend and when they hit the water, yeah, I mean, I get it. Then maybe there's something that calls into question the safety of it. But every once in a while, kind of freaky things just happen. Does that mean that Disney is negligent in the design if it's one out of 100,000 people who get, injured here? And again, that's what's going on here. The woman is suing. She wants at least $50,000, saying she was injured on this and Disney was negligent. Well, if thousands and thousands and thousands of people can ride this in a given week and nobody else gets hurt, does that really mean that Disney is negligent? 855-616-1620. Dick in West Bend. Dick, you're on WTMJ.
Hi, Jeff. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I totally agree with you. I mean, I was on a ride, I think it was called the Plunge in the Dells.
Right.
And I went down it, and, yeah, I got down to the bottom, and it was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But am I suing? No. It's just what happens.
Well, right. And I'm trying to think of any of those different rides that people go on, and there's freaky sort of things that can end up happening. And if you've got 1 out of 10,000 people that get injured, to suggest that this means that the ride is somehow unsafe or it's designed negligently, no, it just means every once in a while something freaky ends up happening, but it's not a reason to say, here, I want to collect tens of thousands of dollars against the people that put up the ride.
No, and I totally agree. I think it's a money grab.
Yeah, well, thanks for calling. And again, I feel sorry. I mean, the lady ended up getting injured, and it's clearly probably not the way that people expected to, her visit to Disney World to go. But where do you draw the line on this type of stuff? People get injured. You get injured when you go to the ball game sometimes, and you slip and you fall. Or you get injured again at an amusement park when you're going on these quote-unquote thrill rides, especially you're going down a water slide. My guess is that there are people that are hurt on a regular basis going down water slides simply because, you belly flop into the water or whatever, and you're injured. Now, maybe she was hurt a little bit more, but I also think there's a degree of assumption of risk that comes with this. Jeff, I don't agree at all with this lawsuit if there is no defect in design. I think sometimes these lawsuits are designed so that Disney just settles. That's it. Jeff, in my opinion, this is a drop in the bucket. They're lucky it doesn't happen more often. That's why you carry liability insurance. Well, I guess, but see, this is the question. All right, if this lady collects because of this, does this mean that the response is to shut down the ride? Now, again, I don't care whether they have this ride or not because there's no way I would go on it. But I don't know how you make a water slide in this particular case when you're dropping five stories in the dark. I don't know how they make this more safe. I mean, do they give everybody like iron cups to wear or something like that? I mean, is that what the answer to this is? I don't know how when you say, okay, this is what it is. It's a near vertical drop and it's a thrill ride and we're doing this because one person gets hurt. I don't know how you make this any sort of safer. So is the answer that, okay, because this one person's been hurt, what we're going to do is we're just going to discontinue the ride? Now, again, I don't care because I don't go to Disney World that often. Not sure I'm ever going to go back to Disney World. But even if I went to Disney World, I wouldn't go on this ride. So it doesn't make any difference to me. But the effect is just like where you have lawsuits that end up driving people out of business, the ultimate effect is to eliminate this ride. And are people really better off because of that? I'll keep you updated on how the $50,000 plus wedgie lawsuit works out. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Stay tuned. Jeff Wagner returns after this on WTMJ. Are you ready to play ball?
Get out of here and away go!
Grab your bat and put on your helmet for virtual baseball with Sandy Max and Steve Scafidi every Friday at 10:35 on WTMJ Now. Compete with other WTMJ listeners.
2 at-bats left. You can do this. It's going to require some big hits, though.
And you could win a WTMJ prize package. It's virtual baseball on WTMJ Now. Brought to you by Signing Unlimited.
Here's a penny for your thoughts. There's about 11,000 tire-related crashes every year.
Mostly due to driving around on underinflated, beat-up, worn-out tires with low tread.
A couple of clicks at richlawns.com will get you scheduled for a free tire tread test.
But if you're pressed for time, there's an old trick we use in the tire industry that'll tell you if you need tires.
And that's free, too.
My dad showed me, who learned it from his dad, who learned it from someone else way back in 1964.
Ah, yes. The old penny test.
Yep, just place a penny head first.
As in upside down.
Into the groove of your tire. Now, if you can see the top of Lincoln's head, you're due for tires.
And hey, if the free penny test frazzles you, book an appointment at richlawns.com.
If your tires are good,
no harm, no foul, because it won't cost you a penny. Be safe, buckle up, and hang. Always make sure you've got good tread in your tires. I'm Brett Matchke with Rich Lawns. You're
due for service.
Such a refreshing change. Rich Lawns.
Do you like the safety of a CD, but not the early surrender penalties? Hi, I'm Dr. Aaron Armstrong with Steinbrenner Financial and your Dave Ramsey Smart Vestor Pro. Tune into the Dave Ramsey program weeknights at 9 o'clock or visit steinbrennergroup.com to learn more.
This Brewers Top Moment is presented by Network Health.
September 22nd, 2023. After missing out on the playoffs a season ago, this Brewers team would pour in 16 runs over 15 hits, going on to beat the Miami Marlins, and this version of Milwaukee baseball would punch their ticket to October yet again.
October official! For the 5th time in 6 years, the Milwaukee Brewers are headed to the postseason.
This Brewers Top Moment is presented by Network Health.
Hi, I'm John McGivern. If you're looking for a Medicare plan with freedom and flexibility, choose a Network Health Medicare Advantage plan. Plans start as low as $0 a month with $0 doctor visits and $0 prescription drugs, plus vision, hearing, and dental benefits. For 40 years, Network Health has been a trusted expert in making health insurance affordable and understandable. Don't wait. Call 833-7-NETWORK today.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. Chef Wagner on WTMJ.
Coming up after the top of the hour news, it's not their fault. How dare we consider putting them in jail? I will explain and we will discuss. Here's some new details. If you're a regular listener to the program, you know that I continue to believe that I don't think Donald Trump is going to be the Republican nominee. And I understand people say, well, don't you understand this and that? I still don't think that's going to happen. But one of the things to move that along is there needs to be a winnowing of the field. You can't keep having debates where you have 7 people on the debate stage, 3, 4, 5 of whom have absolutely no chance of being the Republican nominee. So the sooner the field winnows out, the better. I think one of the candidates who is emerging as the leading challenger to Trump is Nikki Haley. And new poll out today in New Hampshire says that while Trump still has a commanding lead among potential Republican primary voters, although a huge chunk are considering other people, Nikki Haley has now moved ahead of Ron DeSantis. Trump is at 49%. She's at 20%. And DeSantis has dropped to 10%. So I think you're seeing that Nikki Haley is emerging kind of as the anti-Trump or the other alternative to Trump. And the sooner some of these other candidates realize this, the sooner that, again, Chris Christie and Mike Pence and Ramaswamy and the guy from North Dakota, as soon as these people realize that, the sooner they realize that, look, it's just not happening for them and it's time for them to get off the stage, the sooner they get voted off the island, the better it is going to be to allow Republican voters to start focusing on serious alternatives to the former president who finds himself in more and more trouble every day in courts of law all across the country. Okay, like I say, when we come back, it's not their fault. Why should we put them in jail? I'll explain. We'll discuss.
Stay tuned. Jeff Wagner returns after this on WTMJ.
I know it's hard to believe that someone who charges almost 40% less than another can actually do the same job just as well, and maybe even better. But when it comes to our agents, when you give us a chance, you'll see we're pretty good. We know the market and our expertise is second to none. We just charge less. Why pay 6% when a Benefit Realty agent can help you sell your home just as effectively for 3.9%? This is Angela Calais with Benefit Realty, where you pay less for full service. Benefit-realty.com. Well, when we're letting you know that we're here, we're good, and we work for far less than most real estate agents, while still doing a great job for home buyers and sellers all across southeastern Wisconsin. You can believe what we say, or you can base the truth on what others say, like when you read our multitude of 5-star Google reviews, or when we can talk to you about our growth. The numbers don't lie, and they prove that more and more people are finding out the real value that Benefit Realty delivers. Why pay more when you can pay far less for full service? Benefit-realty.com.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Rejuvenex.com.
Here it is. Strong him out swinging. Freddie Peralta just struck out his 10th. Struck him out that time. Slider. Freddie Peralta has struck out 6 in a row.
The Brewers try to stay alive in the Wild Card Series. Our Brewers Radio Network Game 2 coverage against the Diamondbacks continues tonight at 5:30 through October on WTMJ is presented by Network Health and sponsored by Delta Dental, Annex Wealth Management, and Wintrust, Wisconsin's bank. We are the home of Brewers baseball. News Radio WTMJ, Milwaukee.
At 1 o'clock, it's 77 degrees, mostly cloudy, breezy, slight chance of rain later on. Today, a high of 80. Tonight, slight chance of storms with decreasing clouds and a low of 60 degrees. From the WTMJ Breaking Newsroom, I'm Greg Matzik. It is win or go home for the Milwaukee Brewers, who are at home tonight against the Arizona Diamondbacks. They might be down, but Brewers play-by-play man Jeff Levering tells Wisconsin's Morning News they're not out.
Anything can happen, and the Brewers' offense, hey, listen, they put a ton of guys on base. They got to do it again tonight against Zach Gallen. And they can do that, and Freddie does what he does and what he was like in the second half of the season, they'll be just fine.
Freddie is Freddie Peralta. He'll start tonight for the Brewers. Our coverage of Game 2 gets underway with a special edition of Wisconsin's Afternoon News live from American Family Field at 3 o'clock. Popular Brewers alum Nigel Morgan will throw out the first pitch tonight. He knows a thing or two about knocking the Diamondbacks out of the postseason.
It was a series-clinching hit over the D-backs that sent the Brewers to the NLCS in 2011, and Nigel Morgan, nicknamed T-Plush, still thinks about it today.
It was just a magical moment for everybody.
He's throwing out the first pitch this evening.
Being able to come back to the 414 and bring some kind of lucky pizzazz that I have.
Plush lives in Florida now, and he loves it when he sees people from Milwaukee.
If I see somebody rocking a Crew hat, I'll definitely stop and take a picture with him and go Crew.
Eric Bilstad, WTMJ News.
Well, some lawmakers in the Senate say they are ready to back a fresh bipartisan spending bill following the ouster of House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. A small group of hardline Republicans pushed through the vote against McCarthy yesterday over the passage of a bipartisan short-term spending bill. But that bill only keeps the government running up for a few weeks. And now House Republicans must decide on a new leader before taking up new legislation. Democratic Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois.
We've faced many obstacles, but the absence of his duly elected speaker has not been one of them until this point. The House is in turmoil at this point, in distress, and I hope that cooler heads will prevail.
Wisconsin Congressman Glenn Grothman lays out what lies ahead in Washington with WTMJ Now.
Well, we're going to have an election next Wednesday. On Tuesday night, we'll meet, and they'll all present their case. There'll be kind of more like a public forum on Tuesday night. On Wednesday, we'll take a vote. Then the question is whether people will respect the vote.
Grothman says he doesn't expect a new speaker to be in place by next Wednesday. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management market update. Mixed results on the indices today. The Dow currently down 58 points at 32,933.95. S&P 500 is up about 5.5 at 42,3478. The Nasdaq also up today, just over 80 points at 13,141.33. It's time for your retirement and investment strategy review from a fee-only fiduciary. Go to annexwealth.com and click on the Get Started button today. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Siding Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 1:03.
This report sponsored by Mr. Holland's Heating and Air Conditioning. Visit MrHollandsHeatingandAir.com.
If you're like me, this is your favorite time of the year. The days grow shorter, the nights grow cooler. A time for falling leaves, football, hunting, and sitting around the fire with a big bowl of chili. That's what fall is all about. This crisp autumn air reminds us of the changing seasons and causes us to pause and reflect on our blessings. We're thankful for our family, friends, and the fine folks who fix our furnaces, like the incredible crew at Mr. Holland's Home Services. As heating season approaches and we click the switch on the thermostat from cool to heat, it's a good time to call Mr. Holland's and schedule a fall tune-up and safety check for your furnace. Or if you're ready to replace your older unit, we're offering up to 24 months of 0% financing. So before you carve that jack-o'-lantern and swap your flip-flops for flannel, call 866-992-1717 or visit MrHollandsHomeservices.com. If you're ready to fall into comfort, we can help.
It's a city from a fairy tale on the Mediterranean Sea.
Netanya, the city of diamonds.
And in this city of diamonds lived a crazy genius named Moses Hadara.
Moses was a mathematician,
A diamond cutter. And a bit of a theoretical physicist.
Albert Einstein devised a formula, E = mc squared.
Albert's formula unleashed the power locked inside an atom. Moses' formula unleashed the power locked inside a diamond.
Moses began with star facets,
Kite facets, upper girdle facets,
lower girdle facets,
and pavilion facets. But then a voice told him to add 24 new facets. The Moses facets.
When he cut the final one,
Shazam! Moses unleashed an explosion of light.
that dazzling diamond is known today as the Kessler 81.
See it for yourself.
See it for yourself.
See it for yourself. At Kessler's.
To find the Kesslers nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
The season is on the line tonight for the Milwaukee Brewers in Game 2 of their wild card playoff series against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Freddie Peralta will get the start for the Brewers tonight, looking to force a Game 3, which would be played on Thursday night in Milwaukee. Coverage of tonight's game gets underway with a special edition of Wisconsin's Afternoon News from the ballpark at 3 o'clock. Packers cornerback Jair Alexander and offensive lineman Elton Jenkins return to practice, a sign they will be healthy enough to play Monday night when the Packers take on the Las Vegas Raiders. Week 5 of the NFL season begins Thursday night with the Chicago Bears taking on the Washington Commanders. Greg Matzik, WTMJ Sports. Time for a look at your roads. A Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic update. Pretty standard travel times across the freeway system today. We'll have a tap of the brakes near American Family Field. There is a disabled vehicle on the right shoulder. Out of traffic, shouldn't feel any slowdowns with that one. Looking pretty good this noon hour. Keep in mind, the parking lot's open in a few hours at American Family Field.
Traffic is sponsored by Harwood Place Senior Living. Learn more about Harwood Place Retirement Living's newly renovated apartments and updated pricing options at their October 4th wine and cheese tasting. RSVP or schedule a tour at harwoodplace.org.
Mostly cloudy the rest of the afternoon. Breezy, slight chance of a storm. A high of 80 tonight, down to 60 degrees with decreasing clouds. Looks like a nice Thursday on tap. Mostly sunny with a high of 74. The cool down comes on Friday. Sunny, then a few showers late with a high of 61 degrees. It's 75 in Madison, 76 in Green Bay, 75 in Waukesha, 77 in Milwaukee. I'm Greg Matzik. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time is 1:07.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome back to the show. So, Greg Matzik, I was driving home from the ballpark last night, a drive which was made longer because of the fact that the ongoing, never-ending construction on I-43, they had it closed. So I knew that in advance. So instead of being able to take the freeway north to where I live, you had to go downtown and take Lake Drive north and stuff, which on top of the Brewers' sorry performance at the end of the game, really enhanced my mood. The fact that it's going to take another extra 20 minutes to get home. But I was listening, of course, to Brewers' extra innings, and I got home. I pulled into the garage just as you were coming on. But I know that you were you were going off on one of your little. I wouldn't use the word rant, but you had some pointed commentary.
It takes me a little bit to get riled up. Jeff, you've known me for a long time.
Absolutely.
Do I ever really put somebody on blast in full? It's not very common.
Not on the air.
I'm at the game. Yesterday, and really this started when we learned of the roster, and I was trying to figure out why Jesse Winker would be on the Brewers roster. Hadn't had an at bat since July 24th. When he was having regular at-bats with the Brewers, he produced a batting average of 199 with one home run as a left-handed bat.
So, in other words, he sucked before he ended up going off on the injured list.
He was a designated hitter who could not hit.
Right.
How do you keep a job?
The Brewers have had several of those over the last couple of years. McCutchen last year was better, but he wasn't anything great.
Nevertheless, they make changes at the trade deadline. They add players who can play first base, multiple positions, and they beef up their offense a little bit with Jesse Winker on a rehab assignment, rehab in air quotes. So he is somehow made a part of the roster pieced together by Matt Arnold and Craig Counsell yesterday. And I was trying to figure it out. What am I missing that they are seeing? Jesse Winker's one quality, I suppose, is that he does have a knack for drawing a walk on occasion, but those occasions, I think, are few and far between. And Rowdy Tellez didn't have a great year either. I just didn't understand why he was on the roster instead of Garrett Mitchell, a young rookie, who was also injured for the bulk of the season, did come back, had recent Major League at-bats. After not playing since April, he comes back, and the first pitch he sees, he hits for a double.
Right.
Try and explain to me why Jesse Winker, in a clutch situation late in the game, is, in your mind, going to give you a more productive at-bat than Garrett Mitchell.
Right, because
I don't have the answer to that.
In addition, I mean, like Garrett Mitchell, you could bring him on as a pinch runner, because he has the potential to steal a base. I mean, he's still fast, so you've got that. And theoretically, if you needed a defensive outfielder to put in at the end of the game, you could do that because he could play outfield, right? I mean, Winker really can't do any of that stuff.
Well, you can use him in many more facets of the game, right? Same with Joey Wiemer, who does a lot of the same things that Garrett Mitchell does. Wiemer is right-handed, Mitchell is left-handed. I just didn't get it, that in a one-run game, late in the game, Jesse Winker is your first option off the bench, a guy who hadn't had a Major League at-bat since July 24th. And predictably, what happened is that Winker went down on 3 pitches.
Good morning, good afternoon, good night.
Non-competitive at-bat, which many of his have been throughout the course of the season, and he has no business being on a playoff roster. Absolutely none. Now, is he the reason they lost yesterday?
No.
No, the Brewers' 2 best pitchers gave up 6 earned runs. Milwaukee struck out 11 times, but when you put all the ingredients into the soup of why a team lost, that's one of those ingredients I'm adding. A key decision made late with a player who has no business being on a playoff roster.
Incriminating pictures. That must be it. He must have pictures.
I don't get it. No analytics will ever make sense to me that point to him as a better option than another lefty in the Brewers organization.
So I'm sitting in the crowd. And when they announced, because it was the bottom of the 8th, he was the leadoff batter. When they announced that he was pitch hitting for Terang, I think, there's like murmurs in the crowd. And everybody's kind of like, there's murmurs. And then, as I recall, it was either the first and you're right, he went down in 3 pitches, but it was was it the first pitch that he swung at and then appeared to hurt himself?
It was I think it was at the second pitch. So he had 2 strikes on him, and all of a sudden the trainer comes out and he's got some kind of funky oblique issue.
Right, and then goes down swinging, all bad swings, a terrible at-bat. And at that point, the crowd started to boo. But I don't think they were booing Winker.
I don't think they were either. I think they were booing the decision to have him put in the game in that situation. That is a failure position he was put in. He's been failing all season.
Yeah.
It just didn't make sense to me. One of the brilliant managers in the game, that was a misread in my opinion.
Yes. So if he truly has injured himself, what is it possible? Can they put him like on an injured list and bring up one of the players that they had that they're not playing?
Yeah, so this happened to the Diamondbacks yesterday. They had a player on their initial roster for the playoffs who had an injury. They removed
her because, like I say, the crowd was very, very supportive. I mean, people where I was sitting stayed to the end of the game. People were frustrated. I mean, 11 runners left on base, and people were frustrated, but they weren't. The only time I saw people actually angry and booing was at that particular decision and the inevitable outcome, which is the guy strikes out in 3 pitches.
That was rough. Some bad breaks along the way, sure. There probably should have been more runs scored. Some incredible defense by the Diamondbacks. I mean, really, a game of inches, that term could accurately apply to last night's game, and it cost the Brewers.
Right. All right. Well, we'll be listening tonight. Are you back on Brewers Extra Innings after the game?
Yes. Hopefully talking about a Brewers win and then preparing for what could be a wild Game 3 of the series on Thursday.
Absolutely. I'll be listening on my way home from the ballpark. All right. Let's take a quick break. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
More Jeff Wagner right after this. We're on to October.
The Brewers are at the top of the Central once again.
The Brewers are National League Central Division champions. This is Brew October, presented by Network Health and sponsored by Delta Dental, Annex Wealth Management, and Wintrust, Wisconsin's bank. We are the home of the NL Central champion Milwaukee Brewers. WTMJ.
Save me some champagne, will you? You got it. Okay, pal. All right. Or a Miller Lite. That's you got it. That's fun, too.
When big national banks make a decision, it requires many emails, phone calls, and plenty of video conferences from around the globe. When we make a banking decision, we do it over a cup of coffee in our office. Finding a local bank that's passionate about the community and knows your name is hard to find these days.
Good morning, Diane. Welcome back.
The search is over.
Waterstone Bank, proud to be your local bank for over 100 years. Love your bank as much as we love this community. Waterstone Bank, Waukesha, Milwaukee, and Washington County.
Member FDIC.
The workplace has changed a lot thanks to technology, and more recently, the shift to a flexible or remote schedule. Your business must adapt to maintain a great culture, attracting quality candidates and keeping them. You need smart ceiling, lighting, to create places that matter in the modern world, fully functional for those in the building and for others to interact remotely. Get started today at smartspaceswi.com.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here. You know, I've played sports my entire life, been hurt a lot of times, but never had been injured until I had to stop doing the sports I enjoyed because my knee flat wouldn't allow it. I visited Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, where they took great care of me. I put my knee in their doctors' capable hands, and now I'm back in the gym, carrying my golf bag, pain-free for 18 holes, and playing tennis as often as I like with no issues. I'd recommend Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin to anyone. Visit orthowisconsin.com.
It's David Nason from WTMJ's The Fix-It Show, here with Chris Mancuso, owner of Accurate Basement Repair. Hi, Chris.
Hey, David. Courage, honor, and integrity. That is what I brought over to Accurate Basement Repair Team following my 25 years of proud service as a Milwaukee firefighter. This is the same foundation that Accurate is built on.
As a home inspector, I trust Accurate Basement Repair for all your basement and waterproofing needs. They're not just good, they're accurate. Learn more at AccurateBasementRepair.com.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
So very glad to have you with us. Okay, we're kind of flying blind here because in the next couple minutes, we're going to get a notification and we're going to be playing this emergency alert. You will also get this on your cell phones. For people who are not paying attention or haven't been following this, sometime after at or around 1:20, which is about 2.5 minutes, most Americans, you're going to feel your cell phones vibrate, you're going to hear them make a sound, and you're going to see a push alert pop up on your screen. There's no national emergency. There's no reason to panic. There's nothing you need to do about the alerts. It is a test. It's a test of the National Emergency Alert System, which is designed to let government reach people in the United States immediately if there is a disaster affecting the entire country. And this is a test to determine, again, it's the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the FCC. It's a coordinated test to see if technology is working as designed and if any improvements are needed. The sound is a unique tone that's probably going to interrupt classes and meetings and all that sort of stuff. So I'm giving you notice in advance. Don't panic, but it is going to happen. Now, while most smartphones have options for controlling what emergency alerts you receive, there is no way to disable a national alert in your setting. You can try putting your phone on Do Not Disturb mode, but that's not guaranteed to work. Matter of fact, it probably won't work. Won't work. If you have a phone that you absolutely do not want to make a sound, like I don't want my phone to make a sound while I'm broadcasting, what you have to do is you have to turn it off in the next minute or minute and a half. You have to turn it off. And my advice, or what they say, is don't turn it on for at least a half hour. The alert should not send after 2:50 p.m. So, and there are situations. Why would you do this? Well, there are situations where people have hidden phones or whatever. Maybe you're in an abusive relationship. Whatever. If you do not want to get one of these alerts and you don't want your phone going off, the only way that you can guarantee it is to turn your phone off, again, like right now, and not turn it on for about a half hour. And that's my only advice. Otherwise, don't be alarmed when this goes off. Don't be worried. It is just a test. And again, they're trying to see if this works out. I understand there's been some stuff going on about these conspiracy theorists are out there. This is a way of government to control us. No, this is just a coordinated effort that in the case, hopefully it never happens, but in case there ever is a national emergency, this is a way that the government would have of alerting people. And I think it makes good sense to me that you want to have that test. So again, it just hit 1:20 our time. So my sense is that there might be this going on more. And we're going to be getting our notification in just a couple minutes. My producer is saying, well, we haven't gotten it yet. It will be coming in very shortly, I guarantee you. Let's take a quick break. During the break, we will cut away for this emergency broadcast test when it comes in. Again, it is just a test of the system.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner. Couldn't make it to the game?
Here, try this.
If you live in Milwaukee, Racine, Waukesha, Ozaukee, or Washington County, you can stream Bob Uecker and the Brewers on your phone, tablet, or computer using the WTMJ app or at WTMJ.com.
A little different from when you played, Uecker. Yeah, those big old payphones we had. Ah, man.
Brew October is presented by Network Health and brought to you by Delta Dental, Annex Wealth Management, and Wintrust, Wisconsin's Bank.
Staples stores provide innovative products and services for small business, remote workers and learners, even teachers and parents. Explore more at your local Staples store.
Russ bought his first home in Wisconsin with a mortgage from Accunet when today's college freshmen were still in diapers. A few Friday mornings ago, Russ emailed saying he and his wife were ready to buy their forever home. And by 4 o'clock, we were all on a conference call with their real estate agent talking about what it would take to write a winning offer in today's inventory-starved market. And then it happened. They met their dream home face-to-face Saturday afternoon and wrote an offer $15,000 over asking, accompanied by an Accunet property-specific pre-approval letter that guaranteed they could make good on that offer without selling their existing home first and without requiring an appraisal. That's right, no appraisal required, which both the listing agent and seller loved. I can't promise your very first offer will be accepted like Russ and Julie's, but I will promise Accunet can help you and your agent craft the most attractive offer possible. Hey, don't settle for a flimsy, unimaginative bank pre-approval. Get started with your rock-solid, guaranteed pre-approval by clicking on the blue button today at accunet.com.
Couldn't make it to the game?
Here, try this.
If you live in Milwaukee, Racine, Waukesha, Ozaukee, or Washington County, you can stream Bob Uecker and the Brewers on your phone, tablet, or computer using the WTMJ app or at WTMJ.com.
A little different from when you played, Uecker. Yeah, those big old payphones we had. Ah, man.
Brew October is presented by Network Health and brought to you by Delta Dental, Annex Wealth Management, and Wintrust, Wisconsin's Bank.
Hi, John McGivern here. Did you know Network Health Medicare Advantage plans start at $0 a month? And you can get the extra benefits you need, like dental, vision, over-the-counter items, and more? I know because I'm a member myself. Call 833-7-NETWORK to learn more today. Network Health Medicare Advantage plans include PPO plans with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in Network Health Medicare Advantage plans depends on contract renewal.
Are you looking for the perfect restaurant for your next night out? Then make Aria, the acclaimed restaurant inside St. Kate, your next dinner destination. Specializing in artisanal American cuisine, Aria features carefully prepared seasonal entrees along with a robust selection of craft cocktails, wine, and local beer. Join them on Sundays for the restaurant's famous trademark chicken, served family style with sides like mashed potatoes, goat cheese biscuits, and more. Make your plans today to dine at Aria. Learn more and make reservations at aria@stkate.com. That's aria@stkate.com.
You're listening to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Okay. We are past that. My rough count was approximately 50 texts from people who all received the alerts. If you, on the phones, people were saying it hit a minute or two early. Some people saying mine came in at 1:17, mine came in at 1:18, but it is now hit. Also, by the way, somebody also texted that they got their again notification on their phone at 1:18, and then says then some scammer sent a text asking if I got my message, reply 1, etc. So again, my comment is, be careful. You're not, if you get something saying did you get it here, hit this button, doesn't sound, at least to me, it doesn't sound like it's legit because nobody's asking if you got this. You should have received this. So we are past that. It seems like it, by and large, it worked, and that is a good thing. All right, let us switch gears. If you are a regular listener to this program, you know that One of the things that makes my head explode, which is, of course, one of the reasons why people tune in to watch this on the YouTube channel, because you're wondering, is this going to be the day that his head actually does, boof, explode, is the fact that we allow irresponsible behavior to go on with no consequences to people. And why are we surprised, for example, that people continue to do bad things when there are no consequences for them doing the bad things, right? If you get caught shoplifting and you're stealing stuff and you're never going to be held accountable for it, well, what's the incentive to stop shoplifting? I mean, really, everybody else is just chumps. You pay for stuff, you're just a chump. One of the classic examples of that has to do with driving without a driver's license. There are all sorts of reasons why people lose their driver's license, but driving it's a privilege. It is not a right. And we have story after story. Matter of fact, today's TMJ4 has been all over this about the number of people who have lost their license. In many cases, they've never even had a driver's license, and they don't care. They continue to drive. And it means that they're driving without insurance. It means that they are driving recklessly, but it doesn't matter because they're not held accountable, because driving without a driver's license repeatedly is not a crime. There was a story that today's TMJ4 did not that long ago saying that they caught somebody who was caught 36 times driving on a suspended/revoked/no driver's license. 36 times. And it becomes an absolute joke. So State Senator Van Wangard, who is from the kind of the Racine area, he's introduced a bill which would close a loophole in state law. Driving without a license in Wisconsin, or with a suspended license or a revoked license, it is under no cases a crime. It comes with a municipal ticket, no matter how many times the driver is caught. So all you do is you get a ticket, and then what do people do? Well, you take the ticket, you crumble it up, you throw it in the back seat, you don't pay it, you get caught again, you get a ticket. There's no consequence for driving without a license. Last year in Milwaukee alone, this is the city of Milwaukee alone, municipal court records show more than 8,000 drivers were caught operating on a suspended or a revoked license. And let's understand, that's the people that are caught. You don't, unless you are the unluckiest you-know-what in the world, you don't get caught the first and only time you're driving on a revoked or a suspended license. It's just, maybe you do it 20 times and you get caught once. Maybe you do it 100 times and you get caught once. But 8,000 drivers were caught operating on a suspended or a revoked license. So Senator Wangard has authored legislation which would, here's what it would do. Under the bill, a driver caught at least twice operating on a revoked or suspended license would be charged with a Class A misdemeanor, which comes with up to 9 months in jail. So you have to be, you get one freebie, but after your second time, it is a misdemeanor. Somebody caught at least 4 times would be considered an habitual travel offender, and they could lose their driving privileges. Anybody caught driving 5 times or more without a license would face a felony. So you get one freebie, you get essentially, 3 or 4 other times that you get caught, and then finally it is a felony. Now, there's a Madison Democrat, Kelda Royce, who in my opinion has never met a criminal that she hasn't wanted to, take out to lunch. She said, oh, this is terrible. The number one reason drivers have licenses suspended in Wisconsin is for failing to pay a municipal ticket. What we have here is a bill that punishes people who don't have money. Punishes people who don't have money because they make the decision that they're not going to pay the tickets and they drive anyways. Our number is 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. So the answer that the left in Wisconsin has is just let this keep going. What do we care if people are driving without insurance? What do we care if people are out on the roads driving without licenses or with revoked licenses or suspended licenses? What do we care? I mean, so they hit somebody, they've got no insurance, they're injured, etc. How dare we even consider making people be held accountable for the choice they make to drive without a driver's license? 855-616-1620. My argument would be, if anything, that giving somebody a free pass and giving them essentially 4 passes before this even becomes a felony is an extremely generous thing. And if this means that it inspires more people to, I don't know, pay their tickets, or it discourages people from getting behind the wheel of the car after they've had their license suspended, that is not a bad thing. Now, again, I understand some of the Wisconsin left doesn't like it. The Legal Aid Society says that, well, this would create potentially 100,000 new criminal cases each year. Well, maybe the first year, but gradually it's going to winnow it down, because right now there's nothing at all, no disincentive at all for people to not drive when they don't have a license. 855-616-1620. Is it unreasonable to say, hey, after a couple times that you're caught doing this, there's going to be some accountability? 855-616-1620. What do you think? We discuss.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Old National Bank.
I just got your home equity loan, and this feeling of joy and exhilaration overcame me.
Yeah, it's a phenomenon we call getting old.
Wow, so I'm not the only one?
No, small business owners feel it with expansion loans. Families feel it when they're setting up trusts and 529s. Nonprofits who need financing to help the community. And anyone who needs investment advice, they all feel it.
So it's not just me?
No, you're in a pretty big club.
Like a club I can join?
I really don't.
Is there at least a secret handshake?
Old National Bank, where relationships and results matter. Old National. Get old. Member FDIC.
Hi, folks. This is Hank Albert, owner of BBC Lighting. As the largest lighting supplier to new home builders and decorators in Wisconsin, our huge showroom displays all the finest brands of lighting and ceiling fans, including such top brands as Visual Comfort, Tech, and many more. And our expert staff will assist you in making the right selections. Our prices are always the lowest. I guarantee it. If it's lampshades or repairs you need, we do all that too. There's something for everyone at BBC, including fun for the kids and our famous free popcorn. BBC is open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and on Saturday from 10 to 4. We're located at 20th and St. Paul Avenue, across from Sobelman's and Bachman Furniture, all near the Potawatomi Casino. Stay safe and healthy, my friends.
Champagne's not as cheap as ginger ale, and you can't buy caviar for the same price as candy. But right now, you can buy high-end Beautyrest and Sealy Posturepedic mattresses for nowhere near high-end prices. Hasseless Mattress is clearing out a handful of premium floor models, like the Sealy Posturepedic Glendale Falls Queen. Was on sale for $955, now just $362. Only a few remain, and they will sell out. Find a self-service, employee-free showroom near you at Hasseless.com.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Okay, so you got this Democrat out of Madison who says, well, this legislation, if we were actually to hold people accountable and multiple times driving without a license, if we were actually to say, hey, it's going to be a misdemeanor, that this criminalizes poverty. No, it doesn't criminalize poverty. It criminalizes illegal behavior. And when you look at what's going on, it's a joke. This idea in Wisconsin that, okay, you're supposed to have a driver's license and you're supposed to have insurance for your car and all those things. All those of us who do that and who register our cars and go through all this stuff, well, I guess we're chumps, because there's really nothing bad that happens to you. lost your license because of points, lost your license because of reckless driving, never had a driver's license, doesn't matter. Don't worry. All you're going to do is get a ticket. You don't pay the ticket. There's not going to be any consequences at all. So when you slam into somebody driving without a license and you create all this carnage and damage and you don't have insurance, well, that's somebody else's problem. But we don't want to criminalize poverty. No, you're criminalizing illegal behavior. And unless and until you have penalties, you get guys like they're focusing on in Channel 4 who get caught, mind you, driving 36 times without a license. They've got caught doing that. My guess is if you've gotten caught driving without a license 36 times, you've done it thousands and thousands of times. 855-616-1620. Eric in Germantown. Eric, you're on WTMJ.
Hey, Jeff, great topic. I'm a former police officer in Milwaukee, and this was always one of the most frustrating things to watch was how people can get caught repeatedly, and whatever consequences we're putting into place were completely ineffective. So anything such as this bill that moves that forward is a great first step. I don't think it goes far enough, though. What I found is that while a misdemeanor charge or even a felony charge might carry what would seem like more weight, that really depends on your district attorney and judge who's actually going to enforce that. However, the one thing that does seem to grab people's attention is towing the vehicle, because that's an instant consequence. And like with my kids, if they're messing up, a consequence that is delayed 6 months down the road is going to have very little impact whatsoever. Whereas that thing that affects them right now is what gets them to change a behavior, and I think that would be a more effective way to do it.
Well, thanks for calling, Eric. I don't see them as mutually exclusive. And when it comes, you're talking about towing cars, and I'm a big believer in that as well. The idea that if you're driving without a license, boom, we're not going to just let you get back in the car, and we're not going to let you just drive away. We're towing the car, and you're not. If it's your car, you're not going to get the car back until you go in, you prove that you have a driver's license, and you pay whatever fines are overdue. That would be number one. Number two, if you've borrowed the car from somebody, well, they're not going to get the car back until they've paid the towing fines. And I guarantee you one of the things that will happen is, if I lend Samantha doesn't have a driver's license and she gets stopped for driving my car because I've lent it to her, well, if I've got to go and pay the fine to get my car back, I guarantee you that's the last time I'm letting Sam borrow my car. That's just kind of the reality. So I think that's a fair way of holding people accountable. Oh, I didn't realize that she didn't have a driver's license. Well, now you'll know next time, so you're not going to loan this out. This idea that we can just let people do this over and over and over and over and over again and not care about it is so incredibly frustrating. I have a note from a police officer. Jeff, there are times when I pull over people that have sometimes 6, 7, 8 prior no insurance, no license tickets. I asked them what point it's cheaper to buy insurance than to keep paying all the tickets. And I guess my answer would be they don't care because they don't pay the tickets. I mean, they say, okay, well, all right, I get the ticket. Doesn't make any difference. I'm not going to do this. And in some cases, because they probably don't have driver's licenses or they're revoked for whatever reason, they're not going to be able to get them. Meanwhile, they are back out on the streets and they're driving in this situation, and they're putting us at risk. Jeff, shocking that cars aren't towed when drivers don't have a valid license. What a joke. The pendulum needs to swing back to reality to protect the public from these criminals. I am tired of this. Well, yeah, I think there's a factor that goes along with this. Jeff, if you have no money, you shouldn't be able to afford a car and gas. Also, you qualify for free bus passes at taxpayer expense if you're truly impoverished. But my insurance keeps rising because of these knuckleheads. I guess I'm a sucker. Yeah, that's true. If you look at why auto insurance goes up, it's not just, for example, what happens to you. It's what happens in the community you live, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, just talk to people who live in areas where car thefts are completely out of control. Ask them what's been happening to their insurance premiums, their auto insurance premiums. But again, you're the chump because you have a driver's license. You're the chump because, you're the one that's out there getting insurance. Let's talk to Wayne in Milwaukee. Wayne, you're on WTMJ.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Sure.
As a taxpayer in the state of Wisconsin, I making a felony out of this
For a fifth time.
and putting each of these guys in jail for 90 days, 100 days, half a year, at $150,000 a year, which is what it costs the state of Wisconsin to jail somebody. I think it's a terrible idea.
So you just want to let them keep out their driving.
Uninsured license insurance for.
So you just want to let them keep driving. You don't think, and then it's the rest of us.
No, I don't.
Well, what are you going to do?
You should continue to write them tickets, haul them in.
They don't pay them. They don't pay the tickets.
To make them pay.
What? I'm sorry. What?
Yeah, and
they don't pay the tickets, but they don't pay the tickets. They don't pay the tickets.
Well, and that's something we have to. We don't put them in a situation where the rest of us are going to have to pay their tickets by putting them in jail. Well, that doesn't make any sense.
No, no. If they don't pay their tickets, they continue to do the. I'm sorry, but I just couldn't. I could not disagree with you more, Wade, because your response is to do what they do now, which is to do nothing. Here, we'll give them a ticket. Okay, they don't pay their tickets. All right, well, then we have to figure out how to make them pay their tickets. Well, how are you going to make them pay their tickets? If there's no fear of repercussions. And yeah, this isn't a felony the first time. This is after 5 times. That's what the Senator Weingard's bill would do. It's after 5 times. That, to me, demonstrates people who just don't give a rat's rump about anybody. And the idea that, you need uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage. Don't get me wrong, you do. If you take nothing away from, I guess, this segment, let me give you some free legal advice from a recovering attorney. One of the big things you want to be talking to your insurance agent, if you are a responsible person, not one of these lowlifes that's driving around without a license, you do want to protect yourself because there's all these lowlifes that are driving around without licenses and without insurance. You want to have uninsured motorist coverage, which covers you if you are hit and somebody else is at fault and they don't have insurance. You want to have underinsured motorist coverage, which covers you if you are injured when somebody, again, doesn't have enough insurance to cover your injury. So I'm a big believer in that. And I think, that's something that sometimes insurance agents don't explain well enough to people. You want uninsured motorist coverage, you want underinsured motorist coverage, but that's not, to me, an excuse for saying that people should not be held accountable. But first of all, you got to work to lose your driver's license in this state. That's it. So the reason that they have lost their driver's license means that they have done stuff, and generally speaking, they've done bad stuff. So that's number one. So then after you lose your driver's license, these are people that are continuing to drive. No, I think there needs to be some accountability. I have no problem with towing the vehicles, like I said, but there has to be some personal responsibility as well. And as far as this, I don't want to put them in prison. I don't want to put them in jail. Well, nuts to that. Maybe we need to build more jails. Now, if you want to argue that it shouldn't cost $150,000, and I don't know that that's the correct number, but if you want to argue that it shouldn't cost $150,000 to keep somebody in jail, I'm all in favor of having that argument. Don't get me wrong. I think that that's a fair argument. But things have gotten out of control. And the only way you get them back in control is if we start having consequences for bad behavior. And this is an example where there is no bad behavior. Jeff, my car is in the shop right now getting repaired because I was hit from behind by a guy with a suspended license. I'm from Racine, and I know Senator Weingard. I believe he's a former police officer. But frankly, come on, 5 times? I'm more like for the 3rd time, it should be a felony. Jeff, what's even crazier is that as a police officer in Milwaukee, you pull a car over for no license or insurance, and after issuing the citation, you watch them drive away. You watch them drive away. There's just no question about it. Jeff, after that last caller, I can't believe your head did not explode. Well, I mean, you got to understand, that's the attitude that people have out there. It's like, okay, well, we don't want to have people, we don't want to hold people accountable. We don't want to put people in jail for driving without a license on multiple occasions. What we'd rather do is we'd rather wait until that person without insurance, without a license, blows through the red light, hits and kills somebody. And then, of course, then we'll end up maybe putting him in jail. My point is, let's get them the hell off the street before they kill or seriously injured somebody. Is that such a radical concept? I guess, for some at least. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
I know you have a great dog, right? But you know there's room for improvement. At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we can help. Our attention-based training system uses modern technology to help you better communicate with your dog, even in high distraction. When you schedule a free consultation with us, you will have the opportunity to see our training in action and meet for yourself our happy dogs off leash and under control. Contact Sit Means Sit today at 262-361-3641 or find us on the web at sitmeansitwaukesha.com to schedule your free consultation so you can have a happy, confident, and obedient dog.
ESPN Wisconsin's Mark Tauscher here for my friends at Kohler Services. Have you been thinking of updating your bath or shower? Well, Kohler Services is a local end-to-end bath and shower design and remodel service brought to you by Kohler, a family-owned business in Wisconsin for 150 years. Kohler is the only manufacturer offering fast, professional installation and care for life. Start enjoying your bath or shower right now with a special offer. Visit KohlerServicesWI.com to request your free quote and tell them that I sent you. Again, that's KohlerServicesWI.com.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here. A company's success is tied to its employees' success. To get the best out of your people, consider LAK Group's coaching services. Their diverse group of coaches offer a meaningful balance of expertise and passion. The results of the coaching are unmistakable: increased self-awareness, better critical thinking, and improved leadership skills. Find out how LAK Group's coaching can help your company. Visit transformingcareers.com. LAK Group. Discover your human advantage. Vince Vitrano here for Connect Chiropractic. I've had chiropractic care on and off my entire adult life. I can tell you Dr. Alex and his team at Connect Chiropractic do it different. No twisting, no cracking, no popping. At Connect Chiropractic, they use a special tool for adjustments focused on restoring nerve and muscle function. It's not just making your neck and back feel better, although mine already do. Connect Chiropractic can help with headaches, sciatica, vertigo, and more. Schedule an appointment now at GoConnectChiro.com. Tell them Vinny sent you. GoConnectChiro.com.
Spas. The Swim Spa Hot Tub and Sauna Show is coming this weekend only to the Wisconsin State Fair Cream Puff Pavilion. Rows and rows of spas, hot tubs, and swim spas. The largest display in the state. Save up to 60% off retail. This weekend only at the Wisconsin State Fair Cream Puff Pavilion.
Hi, this is Wayne Larrabee, the voice of Green Bay football. You know, fans count on me to make the right call every time, and I can continue to do that thanks to Summit Eye Care of Wisconsin. When my vision began to drift, my eye doctor said Summit Eye Care was the best place to go. Using the latest adjustable implants, the doctors at Summit were able to fine-tune my vision. In fact, my vision is now the best it's ever been. Summit Eye Care was the right call to help me see all the action on game days.
To schedule an appointment at one of their locations, visit summitiwi.com.
Charge into October. Get your Brewers postseason tickets now. Secure your spot and prepare to unleash chaos, make mayhem, and watch stars come to life in the spotlight of postseason baseball. The Brewers moments you live for are coming. Make sure you don't miss a single pivotal pitch or season-changing home run. Get your Brewers postseason tickets now at brewers.com/postseason.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Jeff, I worked in the insurance industry for 45 years. The latest limitation on uninsured and underinsured coverage is to only offer a maximum of $50,000 because there are so many of these claims. I got to go back and look at what my policy says on this. But again, uninsured and underinsured coverage is what you get to protect yourself. The liability cover from somebody that's at fault that hits you and doesn't have insurance or doesn't have enough insurance. The liability insurance is to protect you if you're at fault and you end up getting sued. So something to pay attention to. Hey, something else that I wanted to comment on, and I understand for at least a portion of the audience this doesn't make any difference, but it's important. You are about, you're not going to be able to turn on the TV or the radio or probably go anywhere on the internet where you get these pop-up ads. Really soon, you are about ready to be bombarded with ads for Medicare health care plans. That's because open enrollment begins October 15th and it runs through December 7th. What happens is that every year, Medicare health and drug plans can change things. And people have the ability, there are some limitations on this, but you can change things and you can make a decision. I bring this up because I think Medicare and Medicare Advantage and this whole thing, it is an incredible maze that is almost impossible for the average person to navigate through. Now, I'm not a proponent of any one particular system. I think it's all individual. But essentially what happens in this country is there's two things. If you qualify, there is Medicare, and you pay your Medicare Part B premium, and then you can have Medicare. And Medicare doesn't cover everything. So what people will do is they will go and they'll get private health insurance, a supplement that will cover what Medicare doesn't. But you have to pay extra for that supplement. So that's one system that's there. Then there's what they call these Medicare Advantage plans. Well, Medicare Advantage plans really aren't Medicare. You pay the same amount. You pay the same money that people who are on Medicare pay. But what you're really doing is you're going to a private insurance company that's approved by Medicare. And there's like 4,000 Medicare Advantage plans available nationwide. So these plans all have different rules. You pay the same Part B that people who have Medicare pay, but they have all sorts of different plans that are out there that you can choose. And it's extremely confusing. And some people, you'll hear this advertised like a Medicare Advantage plan, which is just, again, you're getting private insurance. They'll say there's no cost for that. Well, okay, maybe, but sometimes you have to be real careful because they might have out-of-pocket costs that are much higher than Medicare supplement plans. Not always, but sometimes they do. My point is it is extremely confusing. There's also limitations on certain Medicare Advantage plans. There's limitations as to what doctors you can see, what hospitals you can go to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas if you have your basic Medicare, you can go to any doctor in the country that takes Medicare. Now, I'm not advocating Medicare or an Advantage plan. I'm not advocating at all. What happens though, and I talk to a lot of people about this, it's based a lot of times on what your individual circumstances are. How much money do you have? What is your health? What are you doing for prescription drugs? What is your situation? Do you have homes in multiple states? Do you travel a lot? All these are different factors that play in. And it's very, very difficult to navigate this. So, my advice, and so I tell like friends of mine as well, is that you really need to find somebody you trust, some independent advisor who can sit down and walk through, okay, this is what Medicare is. This is what the supplement is. This is what it's going to cost. These are the different Medicare Advantage plans that are out there. That, again, it's not Medicare. You pay the same premium that people on Medicare pay, but you're essentially dealing with an insurance company. This is what the insurance company covers. This is the hospitals. These are the doctors that you can see. These are what the limits are. These are what your co-pays are. This is what, your out-of-pocket costs are. And you just sit down. It's a complicated thing, but you need to find somebody you trust to walk you through these things. And while you're going to be bombarded with advertising, and nothing's right or wrong, it depends on your individual circumstance and what you're looking for. And like I say, I have friends who have Medicare and the supplements. They love it. I have friends who have these Advantage plans. They love those. But everybody has different needs, and no one-size thing fits all. So as you're seeing all these ads, and they're already starting, and we're running some on our station as well, and I just saw there was a story about how Freightert is getting ready to, and Freightert, we do the everyday health things, they're getting ready to buy the other half of Network Health. That's the deal that they've signed an agreement to buy the health system and to buy Network Health. So, that's going to be that Network Health is Advantage. So you can check this all out, make the individual decision. But this is the time to be able to do that if you want to make changes. There's also issues that if you're, first of all, eligible for Medicare, and then you decide that you're not going to go with Medicare, you're going to go to an Advantage plan, it's not necessarily that easy without jumping through hoops to go back to Medicare if you decide I need to do that. I'm just pointing this out. Lots of different concerns, lots of different considerations. Find somebody who knows what they're talking about. Find somebody who can learn about your individual situation, walk through the different things, make your decision, and then you'll be happy. But this is one where I think the government does a lousy job of really educating people on what the different choices are, because the choice you make can have long-term ramifications when it comes to your health insurance down the line. I'm just saying people need to be informed. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Hey, Wisconsin, winter is right around the corner. Get your house ready before the cold hits. WTMJ's Jeff Wagner here for Wagner's Home Improvement Showcase, brought to you by senior real estate specialists Bruce and Jean Nemovitz, Hair Construction, Current Electric, Outdoor Living Unlimited, and Kohler Services. Join us every week to discuss ways to weatherproof your home here on News Radio 620 WTMJ. If you can't catch us live, visit Wagner's Home Improvement Showcase under Features on WTMJ.com.
Before you go looking for an area rug that you'll have to settle for because you think that the one you really want will be out of your budget, come to Design Exchange, where you'll find a formidable selection of Oriental, Persian, and other wool area rug choices at 25 to 70% off retail. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor on consignment at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
If you're trying to find really good, high-end, distinctive furniture, the kind they just don't make anymore, then come to Design Exchange. But you better get here quickly, because the best furniture we take in on consignment doesn't usually last long. It may be vintage, it may have once been out of your range, but now you'll find it's priced right. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value.
Design Exchange.
At Semper Fi, we work hard not to tarnish our reputation. And that's what will make your decision to work with us one you won't regret. You can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
Keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
Russ bought his first home in Wisconsin with a mortgage from Accunet when today's college freshmen were still in diapers. A few Friday mornings ago, Russ emailed saying he and his wife were ready to buy their forever home. And by 4 o'clock, we were all on a conference call with their real estate agent talking about what it would take to write a winning offer in today's inventory-starved market. And then it happened. They met their dream home face-to-face Saturday afternoon and wrote an offer $15,000 over asking, accompanied by an Accunet property-specific pre-approval letter that guaranteed they could make good on that offer without selling their existing home first and without requiring an appraisal. That's right, no appraisal required, which both the listing agent and seller loved. I can't promise your very first offer will be accepted like Russ and Julie's, but I will promise Accunet can help you and your agent craft the most attractive offer possible. Hey, don't settle for a flimsy, unimaginative bank pre-approval. Get started with your rock-solid, guaranteed pre-approval by clicking on the blue button today at accunet.com.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee. From the Annex Wealth Management Studios, this is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Okay, I know there's a segment of the audience that doesn't care about this, but we're hearing from a lot of people. Jeff, and thanks, Jeff, for the info about Medicare. You're right, the government does not make it very clear. We need all the info that you should get. Jeff, there should be a law against these commercials that play, and at least there should be guidelines. I spent lots of time studying Medicare before I went on it, and a year later my husband went on it. Some of these commercials you hear are extremely misleading, don't tell you the whole story. I take no position on this other than it's a really, really big decision. Because, like I say, if you decide I'm going to go the Advantage route, and later on you want to go back to Medicare, it's not an automatic thing. There's all sorts of hoops you have to jump through. And I'm not advocating for any particular policy. I'm just saying this is the time of open enrollment. My best advice is find somebody who's a specialist in this field, who you can trust, and who can look at your individual situation and say, okay, these are the different choices you have. This is what's best for you, or at least this is what you should consider based on your needs, because it's a really, really big decision. All right, when we come back in the 2 o'clock hour of the program, Republicans cut their own heads off, Netflix is raising prices, and Okay, it's only $500 million. What would I do with that? Stick around.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
What if you could build a six-figure retirement income with almost half the money saved? You heard that right. Get a discount on your retirement, creating a six-figure income with 40% less than traditional 401ks and mutual funds. Hi, I'm Brett Kitchen, best-selling author and star in a new Hollywood documentary called The Baby Boomer Dilemma. In this film, economists and Nobel Prize-winning PhDs share a strange concept I call the retirement discount. It gives you more retirement income with the same dollars saved, and your money is never at risk if the market crashes. That's right. If the market crashes 30%, you lose nothing. Even people who are on track have shifted money to this new strategy because it increases their retirement income or can allow them to stop working years sooner. So if you're over 50 and want a bigger, better retirement with less money, call to get a free copy of this brand new movie, The Baby Boomer Dilemma, at 800-648-0303. This is a $30 value, but when you call today, you'll get it completely free, plus 2 hours of bonus behind-the-scenes footage. I'll even cover shipping and handling, no credit card required. Call right now, 1-800-648-0303. That's 1-800-648-0303, 1-800-648-0303.
Personalize your furniture and get it in time for the holidays at Ken Michaels Furniture's pre-holiday sale.
Here it is. Struck him out swinging. Freddie Peralta just struck out his 10th.
Struck him out that time. Slider. Freddie Peralta has struck out 6 in a row.
The Brewers try to stay alive in the Wild Card Series. Our Brewers Radio Network Game 2 coverage against the Diamondbacks continues tonight at 5:30. Through October on WTMJ is presented by Network Health and sponsored by Delta Dental, Annex Wealth Management, and Wintrust, Wisconsin's Bank. We are the home of Brewers baseball. News Radio WTMJ, Milwaukee.
At 2 o'clock, it's 78 degrees, mostly cloudy and breezy today. Slight chance of showers, a high of 80 degrees. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Wyatt Barmore-Pooley. House Republicans throwing their hats into the ring to run in the election to be the next Speaker of the House. Congressman Jim Jordan of Ohio, Congressman Steve Scalise of Louisiana, both officially in the running. ABC News White House correspondent Karen Travers has the latest from President Biden on what's happening on Capitol Hill.
President Biden urged House Republicans to move quickly to, quote, reorganize and elect a new speaker, noting the government is only funded until November 17th.
We cannot and should not again be faced with an 11th hour decision. Brinksmanship threatens to shut down the government.
The president also said the, quote, poisonous atmosphere in Washington needs to change.
We need to stop seeing each other as enemies. We need to talk to one another, listen to one another, work with one another.
Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Wisconsin Congressman Glenn Grothman laying out what lies ahead in Washington with WTMJ Now.
Well, we're going to have an election next Wednesday. On Tuesday night, we'll meet, and they'll all present their case. There'll be kind of more like a public forum on Tuesday night. On Wednesday, we'll take a vote. Then the question is whether people will respect the vote.
Grothman says he doesn't expect a new speaker to be in place by next Wednesday. The state Senate president here in Wisconsin wants to impeach the Elections Commission administrator, that's Megan Wolf. Chris Kepiga is calling on the assembly to impeach Wolf, claiming her time in office could rise to the level of corrupt conduct. Wolf has remained in office while Democrats fight in court against a Senate vote to fire her. If the majority of the assembly were to vote to impeach, the case would move to a Senate trial. Crews are working 7 days a week to repair the Lake Michigan breakwater by moving rocks the size of school buses along the lakefront. The South Shore Breakwater Project started in September. Director of Administration and Planning for Milwaukee County Parks, Jeremy Lucas, telling TMJ4 News.
We have a lot of different amenities along the shore that people use, and if we didn't have the breakwater there, would get washed away by the lake.
Milwaukee County Parks is currently having $2.4 million allocated for the project to fix those holes that were caused by a storm in January of 2020. And popular Brewers alum Niger Morgan will throw out the first pitch tonight. Morgan knows a thing or two about knocking the D-backs out of the postseason.
It was a series-clinching hit over the D-backs that sent the Brewers to the NLCS in 2011. And Niger Morgan, nicknamed T-Plush, still thinks about it today.
It was just a magical moment for everybody.
He's throwing out the first pitch this evening.
Being able to come back to the 414 and bring some kind of lucky pizzazz that I have.
Plush lives in Florida now, and he loves it when he sees people from Milwaukee.
If I see somebody rocking a Crew hat, I'll definitely stop and take a picture with him and go Crew.
Eric Bilstead, WTMJ News.
More sports, traffic, and weather coming up next. Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 2:04.
I'd been living with the snoring problem nearly my entire life. In fact, I can remember my mother teasing me,
saying that I'd snore so loudly that the walls of our house would cave in with each breath.
Fast forward only recently, when Jessica's snoring forced her husband out of their bed and into another room. It's a pretty common situation. We call it a sleep divorce, and that's not good. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula with Advent. After Jessica had a thorough breathing triangle evaluation, we found that her snoring problem required a simple solution. In-office balloon sinuplasty. It's a 20-minute procedure, and it works. You won't find it offered by big box healthcare, but you will find it at Advent, where we offer every effective snoring and sleep apnea solution available. You can hear more of Jessica's story at adventknowsjessica.com and take your first step towards breathing well so you can live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary. Is your home drafty and cold in the winter? Retrofoam of southeastern Wisconsin will fill your walls, lower your heating and cooling bills, and give you an airtight seal with their foam insulation. It's all done from the exterior of your home without any hassle or mess. Retrofoam offers a lifetime no-cost warranty with a property protection guarantee. They take pride in their customer service, treating all customers like family. Get 0% financing for 5 years if you call and mention WTMJ. Call today at 262-234-FOAM. That's 262-234-FOAM.
Who makes insurance simple? That's easy. Delta Dental of Wisconsin. So if you ask, what company encourages you to use your benefits for regular preventive care? Or who provides quick service online or by phone? Which insurance offers access to the largest provider networks? Or who helps you save money when you need more than a checkup? The answer's the same. Definitely Delta Dental. For dental and vision insurance made simple, choose Delta Dental of Wisconsin and Delta Vision today.
The season is on the line tonight for the Milwaukee Brewers in Game 2 of their wild card playoff series against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Freddie Peralta will get the start for the Brewers tonight, looking to force a Game 3, which would be played on Thursday night in Milwaukee. Coverage of tonight's game gets underway with a special edition of Wisconsin's Afternoon News from the ballpark at 3 o'clock. Packers cornerback Jair Alexander and offensive lineman Elton Jenkins return to practice, a sign they will be healthy enough to play Monday night when the Packers take on the Las Vegas Raiders. Week 5 of the NFL season begins Thursday night with the Chicago Bears taking on the Washington Commanders. Greg Matzik, WTMJ Sports.
Time for news about your money, the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update, and everything's in the green, although the Dow is actually now down 0.01%, just sneaking into the red. It's down 2 points, so that's not too bad. The S&P and the NASDAQ both up. The NASDAQ up nearly 1%, the S&P up about 0.5%. The S&P is up 17.5 points. The NASDAQ up 126. Annex Ignite, Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, they'll meet you where you're at. Details at annexwealth.com. Taking a look at your roads, your Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. The only really major delay right now is 41 northbound from the Zoo to Highway Q. You're going to see some brake lights around Hampton Avenue. That'll cost you around 3 minutes as you head towards Capitol Drive. It'll be about a 17-minute ride from the Zoo into Highway Q. And then everything else is looking pretty good. No major slowdowns or delays, and looks like no accidents have been reported.
Traffic is sponsored by Weisgerber's Golden Mast Inn, your place on the lake. Visit goldenmastin.com.
Looking for a perfect wedding venue? Open air terrace nestled over Okachi Lake. Weisberger's Golden Mast. Have it all at the lake. Your wedding place on the lake. Visit goldenmastin.com.
Time for the WTMJ 5-day forecast. Mostly cloudy and breezy today. Slight chance of showers, a high up to 80. Tonight's going to be a slight chance of showers and storms. The clouds will be going away. The low is 60. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, a high of 74. Friday, sunny with a few showers, breezy with a high of 61. Saturday, sunny and windy again, the high down to 57. And Sunday, mostly sunny, the high is 56. I'm Wyatt Barmore-Pooley. Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News time is 2:08.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome. So glad to have you with us. Hey, if you are going out to American Family Field today for the Brewers game, get there a little bit early. Be sure to stop by our mobile broadcast facility because John McCure and Greg Matzik are going to be there till at least 5:30, I think. That's before our first pitch coverage starts. So stop by and say hi. Actually, my wife, I told Greg this. She made popcorn, and I was supposed to drop popcorn off for them yesterday, and just didn't get there in time, so I'm going to try to do a better job of that. But stop by the mobile broadcast facility and say hi. They will be working from American Family Field. And it's a great environment. It's going to be it's a nice night. Yesterday was just an absolutely perfect night. So I hope the stadium is filled up. I hope people root the Brewers home to a victory. And then can you imagine, what it's going to be like tomorrow if you have that Game 3? How cool will that be? Okay, I am curious about... Well, the question really is your time versus your money. If you are like me and you are a huge fan of television, chances are you have one or more streaming services. So you've got your basic, maybe you get I'm going to call it cable TV, but it could be cable, it could be the satellite TV that has channels. Or alternatively, maybe you stream your television through, the Hulu one, or through like YouTube or whatever. But chances are you supplement that with, there we're talking about supplements again, you supplement that with some of the streaming services that are out there. And there's a million of them that are there. Well, it seems like there's a million. You've got Netflix, which is one of the originals, and Netflix has its own series, and they show movies, and they show TV shows, etc. And you've got Hulu, and you've got Max, which is the HBO streaming service, and you've got Disney, and you've got Paramount, and you've got Peacock, and Prime Video, and there's probably more out there, but you get the idea. I want to say all of these streaming services, but maybe it's not all, but for certainly most, if not all. When you sign up, there's two choices that you can have. You can either get the streaming service that is supported by ads, which means as you're watching the different shows, you will see ads that you can't fast forward. I mean, those ads are there, and you've got to watch them. Your program will resume in a minute and a half. Okay, so it's just like watching your old style commercial TV. You got to listen to the ads. You got to watch the ads. Alternatively, there are options that are ad free. So you can buy this service so you're guaranteed that you're not going to have to see ads. Now the difference is pretty significant. For example, Netflix standard ad free. If you want to watch Netflix without ads, $15.49 a month. On the other hand, their ad-supported tier, that's $6.99. Let's round up. That's $7 a month. So for the quote-unquote privilege of not seeing, you say it's $9 more to watch Netflix without having to watch the ads. Let me see. Walt Disney... for the Disney Channel, their prices go into effect October 12th. Disney Plus and Hulu will be $6 and $10 cheaper, respectively, from the ad-free counterparts. So in other words, if you're willing to watch ads, you can subscribe to Disney or Hulu for $6 and $10 less per month. Amazon is adding a new pricing tier for its Prime Video service. Starting next year, the company will include ads in its Prime Video offering and charge subscribers $3 more for an ad-free tier. So you get the idea. And again, I'm sort of looking at this like Hulu, and again, you can save. And again, it depends on the different thing. Peacock, let's see, if you're willing to watch ads, you pay like $7. Otherwise, it's like $12 or $13. Same with Paramount. If you're willing to watch ads, it's like $6 or $7. It looks like it's $12 or $13 if you want the ad free. So you can, if you have, as I do, you can, because there's stuff I want to watch and I'm a TV junkie. If you have multiple services, by being willing to have the ads that pop up and sit through the commercials, I mean, you can save yourself, probably $30 or $40 a month if you have multiple of these services. But a lot of people don't choose to do that. I'm intrigued by this. Our number is 855-616-1620, which is the Old National Bank talk and text line. As a general rule, I go with the ad-supported things. I don't mind sitting through a handful of commercials, maybe just because I'm used to it. So I don't mind the interruptions in content. And I'd rather surrender some of my time than, every month, pay $6, $7, $8 more for the streaming service. Our number 855-616-1620, which is the Old National Bank talk and text line. All right, are you willing to pay more to not have to watch the commercials on these various streaming sites? Because I'm here to tell you, if you are willing to watch the commercials, spend watching the commercials, is the time worth the extra money? 855-616-1620. In almost all cases, for me, it is. I don't mind having the commercials. How about you? We discuss in a moment.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
WTMJ Now with Steve and Sandy.
It is inexcusable that the state of Wisconsin has not legalized, for the most part, medicinal marijuana. It's absolutely inexcusable. It shows the insanity of politics.
You talk about the kids' table, Steve, like, don't treat us like children. And a couple people were able to get in their last pitches for please vote for me. But interesting to see another cringy, started with a cringy, ended with a cringy.
Weekdays from 9 to noon on 620 WTMJ.
Hi, John McGivern here. Did you know Network Health has Medicare Advantage plans that give you $25 a month back towards your Medicare Part B premium? That's $300 a year back in your pocket. Isn't that great? Call 833-7-NETWORK to learn more today. Network Health Medicare Advantage plans include PPO plans with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in Network Health Medicare Advantage plans depends on contract renewal. Certain restrictions apply to the Part B giveback. Visit networkhealth.com/Medicare/extra benefits for details.
ESPN Wisconsin's Mark Tauscher here for my friends at Kohler Services. Have you been thinking of updating your bath or shower? Well, Kohler Services is a local end-to-end bath and shower design and remodel service brought to you by Kohler, a family-owned business in Wisconsin for 150 years. Kohler is the only manufacturer offering fast, professional installation and care for life. Start enjoying your bath or shower right now with a special offer. Visit KohlerServicesWI.com to request your free quote and tell them that I sent you. Again, that's KohlerServicesWI.com.
It's David Nason from WTMJ's The Fix-It Show for hair construction. If your septic or mound system needs repair, residential or commercial, contact the team who specializes in them, Hair Construction. They have you covered. The friendly, knowledgeable staff at Hair Construction can guide you from a simple septic pumping all the way through an emergency repair or replacement. For all your septic needs, contact the experts at Hair Construction today, 262-968-2550, or find them online at haircorp.com. That's HERRcorp.com.
At Annex Wealth Management, we believe every portfolio tells a story. After all, we've analyzed thousands. Some reflect diligence and fortitude. Others, a mishmash of overlapping investments. When Annex reviews your portfolio, we spot what works, what might not, and then provide unbiased suggestions free from sales commissions. Every portfolio tells a story. Let's work on yours. Investment, retirement, tax, and estate planning. As a fee-only fiduciary, that's our story. Head to annexwealth.com.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Kind of feel like we're channeling my old friend Clark Howard here today. But I'm kind of intrigued by this because you've just read or heard that the Hollywood writer's strike was settled. Now, the actors are still out on strike, but that's going to be settled as well. But one of the big issues in these various strikes was the compensation that writers, actors, whatever, get from streaming services. And the argument has been the streamers aren't paying enough and we're not getting enough in residuals and things like that. And as part of these new agreements, the streaming services are going to end up paying more. And that's all well and good. But one of the things that's going to happen is they are going to charge more because they have to pay. They have to pay the writers more. They're going to have to pay the actors more and stuff, so they're going to have to charge more. At the same time, they realize, I think, that there's a price sensitivity. There's a certain point where people say, okay, well, maybe I like Hulu for $6.99 a month, or I like Discovery for $7 a month, but I'm not sure I like Discovery for $11 a month. So there's this fine line, and they're trying to figure out, okay, where is that sweet spot that you can charge people, and so you generate more revenue, but not end up cutting your own throat because you're charging too much revenue. One of the big things that is going on now is the disparity between the services that allow you Hulu. Okay, you can watch it with ads, or you can watch it without ads. Netflix, you can watch it with ads, you can watch it without ads. And in general, the difference is about $6 to $10 a month. You pay more if you're watching it without having to watch the ads. For me, in almost all, if not all cases, I go with the ad-free thing. I go with the ads because I'd rather save the money. My question is, what's more valuable to you? Are you willing to sit through the commercials in order to save, I don't know, $5, $6, $10 a month per channel? Let's start with Mary Jo in Pewaukee. Mary Jo, hello.
Hello, how are you?
I am well, thank you. Are you an ad girl or a no ad girl?
Well, I have to say that I'm retired and no longer have kids and am no longer on a strict budget. So I'm a no ad girl. But I do save. I share my Netflix legally with another retired person. That cuts the cost for both of us. I have about 4 services I pay for all the time, and I rotate others in and out. I'd much rather save money that way and not have the ads.
Okay. Do you find do you watch regular television at all nowadays with that have the ads in them? And if so, do you find that to be annoying now that you have to watch ads?
No, I actually cut the cord, and I don't watch any network television at all. By cutting the cord, I saved big money.
Yeah.
So I'll pay for the ads. There's other ways to save money.
Interesting. Okay. Thanks for the call. Thanks for the call. No, I get it. There's the stuff that's out there. Jeff, ad free for all of them. I figure even with the extra $30 more a month, it's still a lot less than I was paying for, in this case, Direct TV. Jeff, can we have a middle tier where we only get ads when streaming TV shows but not movies? I don't mind ads when watching a TV show. I hate to be interrupted during a movie. Jeff, I think the commercial breaks give me a few minutes to process what happened. For example, Breaking Bad. See, part of it for me, and my wife will tell you this, is I am a multitasker. Okay, so if I'm sitting in my den and I'm watching TV, but I've got a book that's out there, I'm petting the dog or throwing the ball with the dog, or I'm on the laptop computer looking at stuff. So a lot of times I don't even notice the ads. I mean, maybe it's just because I grew up with, over-the-air television that's supported by commercials and things like that. And I mean, the industry I've been working in for the last 25 years is supported by commercials. So maybe it's that I don't even notice that stuff at all. So it's not an annoyance. You get that logical break in the show, and then, okay, you got to wait a minute and a half, and there's the different commercials that are on. Now, some of the commercials I find annoying, but that's a different story in connection with that. But it doesn't end up bothering me. I guess I don't mind the ads. Jeff, whenever I subscribe to a paid streaming service, I always opt for the higher cost ad-free version because I don't want to watch ads anywhere. I can avoid them. But I'm supportive of the options provided to subscribers, and whenever I record something, I always skip through the ads. Yeah, that's a different story when we talk, when you DVR something or whatever, you have the ability to do that. In any event, I bring this up because there's also a series of choices. And again, I think a lot of times people don't know about these things, and you signed up for something, and maybe you're subscribing to Disney, you're subscribing to Max, or you're subscribing to Hulu or Paramount or whatever, and maybe you've got the ad-free thing, and you don't realize, and I'm not advocating, again, you make your own decision, and you don't realize that there's another way that you can go that is less. Or maybe you're like our caller, Mary Jo, who hates ads and don't realize that when you signed up for that, hey, you didn't have to be watching those ads if you didn't want to, understanding that you're going to pay more. It's all a question of time, money, how you choose to spend it. But I think more and more of us invest in these streaming services and end up with all these different streaming services, at least it's worth knowing that, okay, what is worth it? Is it worth an extra $6, $7, $8 a month to be able to watch stuff essentially commercial free? Figure it out, make your own decision, go from there. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Enough is enough! I have had it with these mother snakes on this mother plane!
Our Brewers Radio Network Game 2 coverage against the Diamondbacks continues tonight at 5:30 as the Brewers try to stay alive in the playoffs. On the home of the Brewers, 620 WTMJ. Brew October is presented by Network Health, Delta Dental, Annex Wealth Management, and Wintrust, Wisconsin's bank.
Exergen thermometers are a top choice of medical professionals at highly ranked hospitals across the U.S. Accuracy matters, so make Exergen the chosen thermometer for your home and family.
Hey, the future of joint pain relief is right here in Milwaukee. It's QC Kinetics, Advanced Regenerative Medicine, and it's amazing. Hey, it's Greg Matzik. If you've been told more steroids or surgery are your only options, don't be so fast. Get a second opinion and learn more about how you can harness your own body's healing agents to attack that joint pain. I'm talking lasting relief. QC Kinetics doesn't mask the pain. These treatments go to the very root of the problem, using concentrated healing properties placed directly in your joint to restore and repair that damaged tissue. Imagine living your life this fall with no more pain in your knees, your hips, your shoulder, or your back, with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Hey, life is all about motion, and QC Kinetics is giving people their lives back with these all-natural treatments. Call the local medical professionals and get a free consultation today. QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. Call 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. Again, 414-285-3474.
Hi, I'm Randy Miller, owner of All Right Home and Remodeling and current president of the Milwaukee chapter of NARI, the National Association of Remodeling Industry. Those who know me know I'm committed to building a better remodeling experience for homeowners and a better industry for those who work in the trades. If you're a home improvement contractor looking to build your skills and your business, I invite you to reach out to me and learn more about NARI. Email me at randy@allriteremodeling.com.
Is outdoor living limited at your place? Well, imagine a deck, a patio, pergola, fire pit, maybe even an outdoor kitchen in your yard. Outdoor Living Unlimited is a local, family-owned company that consults, designs, and builds these things. They're the best. Let them make Outdoor Living Unlimited in your yard like they did in ours. We are Wisconsin. We live outdoors as much as possible. Make the most of it with help from Outdoor Living Unlimited. See OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
So, very glad to have you with us. Samantha, that Snakes on a Plane preview, that was kind of interesting using Samuel L. Jackson. Did you cut that one up? You did not. No, that's one, it's always one of these things where you know, if you want to use a promo and there's a line from a movie or a song or whatever, and you know that there's bad words in it, it's always one of these things where you say, boy, my goal in life is not to get called into meetings. And so it's always like, okay, want to make sure that we, and my producer Samantha, she'll testify to this. I'll say, okay, I want to play this song, but you better listen to it because I think there's some bad words that are coming up, and I want to make sure that we excise those bad words. And then of course, I get her paranoid because then she has to listen to it multiple times to make sure that that's that. And we were using, again, the Arizona Diamondbacks, which is a snake. They're using the promo from the Samuel L. Jackson movie Snakes on a Plane, where he's got this famous line about, I'm tired of all these blankety-blank snakes on this blankety-blank plane, except he doesn't say blankety-blank. And so we had to kind of cut that out. That's one of these movies. I've said this before. There are some movies that you go to and you don't know what you're getting into, and you walk out thinking, oh, I was really ripped off. I hated that movie. I can't believe I went to that movie and I thought it was about this and it was about something different. There's that misdirection. Snakes on a Plane is one of those movies where you have no excuses if you go to the movie and didn't like it. The movie is about snakes on a plane. A bunch of people on a plane with a bunch of snakes. So if you don't like the fact that, you're creeped out that snakes are dropping out of the ceiling onto people, okay, you got no excuses, because when you go to a movie called, Snakes on a Plane, you're going to see snakes on a plane. Couple other examples of that. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You go to a movie called The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, And you know what's going to happen? You're going to have people that are getting killed with a chainsaw. Okay, so you can't complain about it. I've told this story before. A dear friend of mine and I went. This was a number of years ago when the movie came out, and my wife didn't have any interest in going to see the movie. But so Jenny and I were going to go see it, and the movie was called. It was with Daniel Craig, the James Bond guy. And, and Harrison Ford was in it too. The movie was called Cowboys and Aliens. And the movie was set in the Old West. And it involved this frontier town. And, we always assume that if aliens are going to land, they're going to land in modern times. But the premise was, well, what if aliens invaded the Earth back in, 1870 or whatever? So it was this frontier town and, aliens invaded. The movie was Cowboys and Aliens. And if you go to watch the movie, and it's an awful movie, but it's cowboys and aliens. So Jenny and I sit through this movie for a couple hours, and at the end of it, it's one of those things where it ends, and you kind of look at each other and realize that you want these it's 2 hours of your life, including previews, that you're never going to get back, and you realize that you've just kind of peed it away. But at the same time, as you're walking out, you're going, we went to see a movie called Cowboys and Aliens. Okay. It was cowboys. It was aliens. You've got absolutely nothing that you can complain about. It's just, here, I'm a duck, pluck me. I went to the movie. It was, what am I going to do? Go up and complain and say, I went to see Cowboys and Aliens, and the movie was this stupid movie about cowboys and aliens. And that's where they look at you and say, okay, it's not like we promised you Shakespeare or anything. I mean, we told you what the movie was about. Snakes on a plane. We told you what the movie was about. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's a massacre using chainsaws in Texas. We know what that's about. Okay, let's take a quick break. When we come back, figuratively speaking of massacres, I want to talk about what happened yesterday afternoon after we got off the air in Washington and what it says about the state of the country. Stick around.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Hey, it's 620 WTMJ's Brian Z. Football family back to school. Can you believe it? Fall is already upon us. You're going to be out and about this fall season. Apple picking, tailgating. Make sure you have your best smile on display. Go see my guy, Dr. James Michaels at Oconomowoc Dental Care. Whether it's a simple cleaning and exam, a more complex dental procedure, a teeth whitening and implants, Dr. Michaels and the staff at Oconomowoc Dental Care are going to take great care of you and make you as comfortable as possible while you're in the chair. How do I know? He's my dentist. He's going to take the same great care of you as he does to me. And don't stress over cash. The friendly and caring team at Oconomowoc Dental Care can help you out with a no-interest payment plan. Get those pearly whites looking right as summer turns to fall. We all have to go to the dentist, so do not put it off 1 second longer. Call his friendly and caring team today and set up an appointment. Dr. James Michaels at Oconomowoc Dental Care.
Russ bought his first home in Wisconsin with a mortgage from AccuNet when today's college freshmen were still in diapers. A few Friday mornings ago, Russ emailed saying he and his wife were ready to buy their forever home. And by 4 o'clock, we were all on a conference call with their real estate agent talking about what it would take to write a winning offer in today's inventory-starved market. And then it happened. They met their dream home face-to-face Saturday afternoon and wrote an offer $15,000 over asking, accompanied by an AccuNet property-specific pre-approval letter that guaranteed they could make good on that offer without selling their existing home first and without requiring an appraisal. That's right, no appraisal required, which both the listing agent and seller loved. I can't promise your very first offer will be accepted like Russ and Julie's, but I will promise AccuNet can help you and your agent craft the most attractive offer possible. Hey, don't settle for a flimsy, unimaginative bank pre-approval. Get started with your rock-solid, guaranteed pre-approval by clicking on the blue button today at accunet.com.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ. That's my fault. I was distracting my producer, Samantha. No. You don't have to take blame for that. That was my fault. You were doing something, and I distracted you with some sort of odd question that just kind of popped into my mind. And, yes, giving you this little stuffed animal that we had in here. Yep, you said, oh, it's really cute. So take it. It's been there. Okay. I talked about this yesterday. And it bears repeating because it did, in fact, go ahead and happen. That is that House Speaker Kevin McCarthy became the first speaker in the history of the United States to be ousted from his speakership. Not because he had committed any criminal acts, not because he had committed any ethical violations. He was ousted because a small band of dissident Republicans had a hissy fit and decided that they were going to go after him because, well, they could. Now, let me back up into my conversation here. This is one of the reasons why, as much as I might like to be in Congress, I don't think I'd be very good at it, because I am a realist. And I believe, I've said this before, that I say politics is the art of the possible. And that oftentimes that means that you have to have some degree of compromise. We can't always get everything we want all the time. And I've always argued that if I can get 75% of the stuff I want, that's a pretty good deal. And if it means that I can't get that extra 25% right then, okay, maybe I'll try to get the 25% next time. But I mean, 75% is a win, right? That's just it. And my argument would be it is better than nothing. And I think that can apply to life. All right, you go in, you want a raise. So you go in and you sit with your boss and you say, okay, here's the deal. I want this and this and this and this and this. And you track off 5 things. And your boss is able to give you 4. Well, okay, you're not happy that you didn't get that 5th thing, but okay, you've gotten 4 things out of 5 that you didn't have before this negotiation, and I guess your decision is, well, I can walk, and if you're ready to do that, that's fine. But otherwise, even if you like what you're doing and you get 80% of what you want, I think most people would declare that to be a victory. Now, in Washington, right now, we have divided government. We have divided government in Wisconsin as well. You've got a Democrat, Joe Biden, who is the president. You have the United States Senate, which is narrowly controlled by Democrats. But it is controlled by Democrats. What is it, 51-49? Is that what the breakdown is? But it's controlled by Democrats. And you have the House of Representatives, which is narrowly controlled by Republicans, 221 to 214. So at a start, you've got divided government. Even if all the Republicans were united, all right, in the House, you could do something in the House, but then, you got to get the Senate to go along with it, and you've got the president to sign it. And they're not going to do that unless there's a degree of compromise. And the same thing is true with Biden and the U.S. Senate. Because the Republicans control the House, we don't have single-party government right now. If you want to get most of the stuff you want, the answer is to win elections. Republicans take over the White House, take over the Senate, take over the House. Okay, then you've got united government, and at least to the extent you can keep the party together, you can push stuff through. Same thing true with Democrats. That's how you got Obamacare years ago, because the Democrats controlled the Senate, the Congress, and the presidency. But we don't have that right now in this country. You've got divided government. That applies to Wisconsin as well. You've got Republicans who have overwhelming control of the Assembly and the Senate, but you got Tony Evers sitting in the governor's seat. So there's limitations on what one party can do. That's the reality of this. So there has been a handful of dissident Republicans. There's really 8 of them. Hard right Republicans who are what I describe as the bomb throwers. The people that they're from, in general, extremely safe districts. So they don't get held accountable for what they do. And these are people who've decided, for whatever reasons, we're not going to have compromise. We have no interest in compromising, so we're willing to shut the country down because we didn't get what we want. Now, the reality is we can't get everything that we want because you've got the Senate and you've got the president who's a Democrat. They're not going to go along with us. We don't have the votes to do that. But they're willing to shut the country down, for example. They're willing to hurt the Republican Party because you've got a lot of people who, for example, Republicans in Congress, in the House, who don't necessarily come from extremely safe districts, who are going to be held accountable for the behavior of these people who've just decided we're going to be complete and total obstructionists. So what went on is, over the weekend, you had House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who was looking in the face of a government shutdown, who decided, look, I can't let the government shut down on my watch. And because we have divided government and anything that we do has to go through the U.S. Senate and go through the president, the truth of the matter is we can't just do this. We can't have 4 million federal employees who are sent home, and we can't have members of the military and the TSA who are expected to work without getting paychecks, and we can't have ourselves be made to look like a clown car act on the international stage by shutting down the government. So they cut this deal, and you had Democrats who came together with lots of Republicans, and they voted for this, and Biden signed it, and the Senate approved it, and the government stays open until at least mid-November. So you have a handful of these Republicans who are appalled at the idea that Kevin McCarthy would do the right thing and make this compromise to keep the government open. So they decided to go after him. And what happened was the Democrats, who enjoyed watching the Republicans in disarray, they all voted against McCarthy, and you had 8 Republicans who voted against McCarthy, so he's tossed out as a speaker. Not that he did anything wrong. So now there is complete and total turmoil. There's not a Speaker of the House at the moment. There's an interim Speaker. Glenn Grothman was on our air earlier this morning saying, okay, what's going to happen is, next Tuesday we're going to meet and we're going to hear from the people who want to be Speaker and we're going to vote. But then the question is, the people who the Republicans will vote, but the assumption is that then all the Republicans can come back and vote for whoever it is, whoever the majority votes for in their conference, in their caucus. But there's no guarantee of that because you have like these 8 or 10 who, hey, I don't like who the next person's going to be, so I'm not going to vote for him. So then you've got a complete and total mess. It's just, it's like a bunch of kids. And again, it makes us look silly. And there's no end game here. Let me share a portion of the Wall Street Journal editorial. And this is the Wall Street Journal. This is not the New York Times. This is not the Washington Post. Republicans cut off their own heads. A gang of 8 ousts the Speaker with no plan or replacement in mind. A band of 8 Republicans succeeded in ousting Kevin McCarthy as House Speaker on Tuesday, and we trust they're happy. They now have the chaos they wanted, though it isn't clear what else they hope to achieve. Their clever plan seems to be to cut off their own heads. Mr. McCarthy lost his job but rose in our extreme in recent days by the way he has handled the threatened coup. He put the country first on Saturday in refusing to let the plotters shut down the government for no good purpose. Yeah, this was really going to be the Seinfeld shutdown. It was going to be a shutdown against nothing. Then on Tuesday, he refused to ask Democrats for a power-sharing deal in return for votes to rescue his speakership. He put his party above his job, and his reward is that he is the first speaker ousted in history. The vote was 216 to 210. Et cetera, et cetera. And then they talk about the people who ended up dumping him. There's no good reason for this other than we don't like him and we can end up doing it. But they don't know who's going to replace him, and they don't know what that person who replaces him is going to do to be any better. This is what happens when you have a narrow majority and you're really held hostage by a couple of the extremists. The vast majority, for example, of people, the Republican congressional district, they all voted to keep McCarthy. A lot of these people are good, hardworking congressmen and women who put their head down and want to do their job and don't care about being on Fox News all the time and don't care about, trying to raise money among like some of the far right groups. But you have a handful of these hardcore bomb throwers. Matt Gaetz is he represents an area up in the Florida Panhandle, extremely conservative. And what's really going on is he wants to run for governor of Florida in 2026. and he's trying to increase his profile, get a national profile, and raise money nationally to run for governor of Florida. As I said, if I'm ever reaching a decision about whether I want to spend 6 months and 1 day out of Wisconsin so I could be a Florida resident, one of the things, forget the no state taxes, one of the things that would push me over the edge is the chance to vote against Matt Gaetz in a Republican primary in 2026, because I guarantee that this idea of, here, we're going to blow stuff up and we don't care what's good for the country and all we want to do is disrupt with no real plan and no real reality of moving forward. I mean, look, if you could have accomplished something with a shutdown, okay, maybe you do it. But as long as we've got divided government, that was not going to happen. So you've got a handful of these Republican bomb throwers who I guess feel they're in safe seats and they can do whatever they want, and they can, use this bomb throwing to kind of generate some money and campaign donations so it can help them down the line. But it's bad for the country, because you ultimately, as we keep going back to saying, is that the politics is the art of the possible, and do what's best. The other interesting thing is, who wants to be the Speaker of the House? Because what happened to Kevin McCarthy can happen to the next person who decides to, okay, I'm going to do what I think is right. I'm going to do what the overwhelming number of Republicans in the caucus want me to do. But these 8 people decide they're going to break bad on me and I'll be gone. Who wants to do a job like this? Say what you want about Nancy Pelosi. And I have said a lot of things about Nancy Pelosi, many of which aren't flattering. But she was at least able to keep her party under control. And you didn't have these dissident factions breaking off. And, you've got a lot of wingnuts in the Democrat Party, but she was able to keep them all in line. And I think, that's a tribute to her, or maybe it's a comment on some of the extremists in Congress on the Republican side. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this on WTMJ.
There's no better place to catch the natural wonders of fall than Lake Geneva. Stroll a lakeshore path in a kaleidoscope of color. Explore winding rustic roads. Take a scenic boat tour or glide through a forest on a zip line. At night, stargaze from a historic observatory, cozy up to a campfire, or have a cocktail on the patio. Enjoy the seasonal bounty at orchards, wineries, and farms with flavors to savor. Plan your fall getaway now at visitlakegeneva.com. Lake Geneva. It's always been the place for fall fun.
It's David Nason from WTMJ's The Fix-It Show for hair construction. If your septic or mound system needs repair, residential or commercial, contact the team who specializes in them, Hair Construction. They have you covered. The friendly, knowledgeable staff at Hair Construction can guide you from a simple septic pumping all the way through an emergency repair or replacement. For all your septic needs, contact the experts at Hair Construction today, 262-968-2550, or find them online at haircorp.com. That's HERRcorp.com.
At Annex Wealth Management, we believe every portfolio tells a story. After all, we've analyzed thousands. Some reflect diligence and fortitude. Others, a mishmash of overlapping investments. When Annex reviews your portfolio, we spot what works, what might not, and then provide unbiased suggestions free from sales commissions. Every portfolio tells a story. Let's work on yours. Investment, retirement, tax, and estate planning. As a fee-only fiduciary, that's our story. Head to annexwealth.com.
It's WTMJ's Debbie Loziga for Comfort Awnings. You've heard me talk about the wonderful new retractable awning the team at Comfort Awnings installed at my home. Now I can have all the cookouts and get-togethers in my backyard with some extra shade and relaxation for my guests. Comfort Awnings is a local family-owned company in Burlington. It provides expert installation in southeast Wisconsin and northern Illinois. Right now, you'll receive a free motor with the purchase of awnings or screens until the end of October. Call 414-AWNINGS for a free estimate or visit comfortawnings.com.
Most companies focus on the product. At Semperfi, we focus on our people and you, and that's never let us down. That's why you can count on Semperfi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semperfi.
You're just going to have to live with it. That's what I told myself. And if you can believe it, that's what the doctors told me.
Since Andy was a boy, he had health issues, which later we would find were primarily due to his trouble breathing. So for 36 years, Andy lived with about 85% blockage in his nose. He had to breathe through his mouth because when he tried to breathe through his nose, it felt like he was being suffocated. It affected his sleep, his work life, and his ability to play sports. And he wasn't going to let it ruin his life anymore. So he came to Advent. As bad as it was, his problem required a simple solution. In-office balloon sinuplasty and turbinate reduction. Procedures you won't find offered by big box healthcare. This is Dr. Madan Kandula. It's definitely possible that your nasal breathing problems have a simple solution too. You can hear Andy's story in his own words at adventknowsandy.com and begin on your path to breathing well and living better.
Results may vary. This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
My goodness. I mean, here's really a breaking news story. Maybe this is a good sign for the Brewers. For the first time, and it seems like forever, it looks like the stock market is actually going to finish up for a day. After just a devastating day yesterday, the Dow Jones, which is in negative territory for the year, the NASDAQ, which is down for Biden. I mean, everything's up a little bit now. And again, I don't want to jinx this because we got 10 minutes to go to market close. But right now, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 72 points. Now, it's down several hundred yesterday, but, it's little things. The S&P 500 up 28 points. And the NASDAQ is up 167 points. Now, that's just a fraction of what's been lost in the stock market over the course of the last couple months. But you certainly get to a point where, anything positive is something that you would want to take. So, we will accept that. All right, here's the other thing. All right, tonight, Wednesday night, Powerball drawing. All right, new Powerball drawing. The estimates are the Powerball jackpot might be as much as 1.2 B as in $1 billion. All right, but I don't get too excited about this. The Wall Street Journal kind of breaks down the numbers here. See, the way it works with these big lotteries, not that I've ever had to worry about this, is that you can win a 1.2 billion, but they're not going to give you $1.2 billion. The way the $1.2 billion is calculated is they figure, okay, we're going to get an annuity and we're going to pay you off in equal installments over 30 years. That comes to the tune of, $1.2 billion. If you want the cash payout, well, that's not going to be $1.2 billion. It's going to be the amount of the annuity that we would have to buy to guarantee you 30 years worth of that. So, for example, let me see, the Powerball, the Monday's Powerball, it was advertised as $1.04 billion. If you had won, now nobody did, but if you had won and you had taken the cash prize, it would have been $490 million in cash. That would actually be the smallest, this tiniest 10-figure jackpot ever. And that, of course, is before taxes. So you win $1.04 billion. You want the money up front. You don't want to wait 30 years to have it all paid out. So you take the cash, that's $490 million, and then the IRS and the State Department of State Department of Revenue, they're going to come after you. So, at the end of the day, that $1.04 billion, it's probably, what do you think? Probably maybe $240 million. Oh, look, I can figure out how to work with that. But it is interesting when you see these big numbers that are out there, and then you wonder how much does this actually translate to. It is that number, that B as in $1 billion number, is based on the 30-year annuity. And the reason the cash payments are getting lower is because interest rates are going up. So, for example, let's say it's $1 billion. If the interest rate that you can get is like 3%, the cost of the amount of cash that you'd have to put in at 3% to get to $1.2 billion is less than the amount of cash that you'd have to put in to buy an annuity if interest rates are 7% or 8% or whatever.